And Muzz got mad at me, the coach, and he goes, Jesus Christ, why don't you just wear 2 9s? And I went, okay.
Please never do that.
Yep. So.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 504 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Whitney from our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports Podcast family. What is up, gang? It's finally here. The Stanley Cup fucking Finals. We cannot wait. We'll be going to a couple games. We'll get to that shortly. Let's dive in and say hi to the boys. Matt Murley, what's up, our Swedish buddy?
What up, fellas? Of course, I got the invite today because I was the only one that predicted both conference final champions. And to top that, I forgot to talk about it on game notes. I also picked one of the overtime winners in that Rangers series. So I got the Bucci Barry Melrose t-shirt sent to me. So first time I ever won that. Great conference finals for me. Excited for the finals.
Great stuff, Merle's. Great stuff. Let's go to the Whit Dog next. Ryan Whitney. Must be on cloud nine right now. Your Oilers back in the Stanley Cup after an 18-year layoff.
Oh, my God, boys. All the ridicule, all the laughing, all the no chance. It's a two-man team. It's all over. The times are a-changing, and we're living in the good old days, boys, in Edmonton, Alberta. They got it done. They got it done in a way nobody ever thought they would, with goaltending and winning close games. The thought that the Edmonton Oilers are in the Stanley Cup Final, while not seeming too crazy before the year began, they lose to the last two Stanley Cup champions. They have all these guys coming in, and boom, they shit the bed. And then everything turns around, and everything comes together, and the world becomes the Edmonton Oilers land, and it becomes Connor McDavid's paradise. And we're now watching one of the coolest stories we've ever seen in a team that's been in the doldrums and in the darkness since 2006 finally get it all together with a goalie, with a bunch of great defensemen, and the greatest player these eyes have ever seen. So the fact that it happened on home ice, as I said beforehand when I picked Oilers in 6, there's no home ice advantage like in Edmonton. And Rogers was going bonkers. And Merles talks about what crowds need to do and how they need to lift their team up. Let's go Oilers! The last 5 fucking minutes holding on to a lead to get to the Cup Final. They're in one against the Florida Panthers. But they can do it, and they will do it, and I can't wait for Saturday, boys. Holy shit. Quickly before we go to biz, this show is presented to you by Whitney. I know I'm throwing in a little ad read, but I did my spaces last night, and my spaces, I take calls. I take calls from amazing Oilers fans, and every time, they're all shit-faced. They're all drinking. I'm on Whitney. I love it. It's my drink of choice for the playoffs. Actually, all year I drink it because it's that special. So shout out New Amsterdam Vodka. Shout out Whitney. Take your shot with Whitney. Go down to your local liquor store. Go down to your local watering hole and order up a big old Wit for me and for the Edmonton Oilers. So go over to you, Biz. What do you think? Thank you for picking against me.
Hey, round of applause for the Whit Dog. Holy, what a
I did it, guys. I did it. I'm as hungover as everyone in Edmonton, too. I was partying last night.
All right, the swings with this guy, jumping off the bandwagon to now winning the Western Conference champion.
Some say I woke him up.
Some
say I woke him up.
Well,
that has now become a storyline.
You might think you did. But a more developing story, and probably more important than anything that happened on the ice, R.A., over to you. Because Natty G, the OnlyFans girl in Dallas, everybody was talking about her tits behind Pete DeBoer all playoff long. Glass banger. She and him were one-upped by that Edmonton lady who has the nicest rack going. And we find on when we hop on here that RA is texting back and forth with the nicest tits on the internet right now. I don't think I could scroll 5 fucking tweets on my timeline without seeing those beautiful tits and that nice little paunch belly and that beautiful belt that she had on that was probably hand-delivered by the Hells Angels. I am in love, but you have stolen the Edmonton Oilers girl and the nicest tits on the internet right now, RA. What the fuck is going on? Tell everybody.
Well, first off, shout out to the Canadian healthcare system for a job well done. So she got them there.
Those looked all natural to me.
Time out. For you American listeners, you don't get free tit jobs in Canada. That's not part of our healthcare system, RA.
Free dicks.
RA's buzzing. RA's just excited because he's going to go meet up with his new
wheeling and
girlfriend.
dealing with Tits McGee.
No, I mean, no judging. They just didn't have the jiggle of a natural pair. That's all. No.
What do you mean? That was when she went like this, dude. I had my hand in my pants.
I think
instantly.
they're real and spectacular.
Oh.
Either way, she's a fantastic gal. We were, trying to hopefully get her for today, but she works. Well, I don't want to give away too much information, but her job.
I'm pretty sure everybody in Alberta knows exactly who this lady is right now.
I'm an old-fashioned gentleman, Paul. What can I say?
That's true. Hey, I think she's more famous right now than when at the Calgary Stampede, that lady getting 2-on-1 in the back alley. Do you guys remember that video that ended up leaking out a few years ago?
Yeah.
One. Wow.
Well, we'll have to send that one.
A little more like fun, and let me show my titties off, and the Oilers are going to win, as opposed to getting tag teamed in a back alley.
Yeah. So Biz, I got a DM, and I've been on these internet streets for a long time, and I say, buddy, I can't go on this. I can't get catfished. And he's like, no, I get it. And he sent his number, her number. I think he might have referenced. He knows. He said, I know Matt well. I don't know if it's Jumro. I'm not going to say his name on a live show here. But yeah, I texted her. She texted right back. Now I guess this is a small percentage, is not her, but I mean, I think she would have been.
Have you had her sent a photo or something? But here's the kicker, folks.
No, actually,
this is the most Edmonton thing ever. The reason why RA's been texting with her and the service hasn't been great, and she's only at one bar, is she's back up working at the oil rigs. She works.
I said, if she works, imagine she worked on the oil rigs, and she does.
Yeah, it is crazy. She said might be busy today. She's working the oil fields or whatever the fucking terminology is. But a pilot truck for drilling rig moves, whatever that entails. I don't,
whatever it is.
Don't say drilling around her and RA. and all we needed. You talk about McDavid and that goal last night and that career-defining goal that'll be on his highlights for the next 70 years. And you talk about Skinner and Nurse bouncing back. In the end, it was two things. And I'll bring in the end back for this fucking show. In the end, it was two things. It was Tits McGee, and it was Biz saying it was over. And that's all we needed.
All you ever need. All you ever need.
Wait.
Show me some tits and show Biz saying the series is over for Dallas, and it's over.
Come on now.
Can we add one little third? Okay, let's roll it.
I'm nervous, but I'm positive.
It's over. They don't have as good of a back end. They don't have as good a goaltending.
You said Vancouver won the series too, you idiot. You said that series was over. So I don't mind you saying that. You said this exact thing about Van.
All right.
Some numbers on Heskin, and this is via Megan.
I haven't seen Whit this fired up in a while. You're welcome.
So that was post game 3.
You're welcome.
And things were looking bleary. Is bleary a word?
It is now, baby.
Yeah.
Hey,
bleary,
oily. And it's like all of a sudden, I'm like, I went on the show. I'm like, I think I need Biz. Hopefully Biz thinks it's over. It's over. The goaltending's better.
The win. So actually, when I sign in on this, what do you call this? Like StreamYard, I have my name as Mush Nasty. I don't think the people watching could see it because literally everything I've said this playoffs has done the opposite. Now, you talked about it being bleary. Is that the new word we're using?
Bleary.
Things being very bleary. Buddy, game 4, Dallas was up 2-0. Like that series, as soon as they came back, it turned on a dime. Now, if we could add a third thing other than me mushing it and Tits McGee, special teams. Buddy, Dallas didn't have a power play goal. What were they? 0 for 14. This streak of penalty kills for the Edmonton Oilers has now reached 28 straight kills. Mark Stewart should get 2 fucking rings if they win the cup. One to auction off for a little, extra little bonus, and one for himself. A remarkable stretch of killing off penalties. Now, you could criticize Dallas in their lack of creativity, the fact that they were so stagnant and it was brutal. But ultimately, let's keep our focus on the Oilers right now. Darnell Nurse turned the corner in that game after going -2 Murr on those first 2 goals. If he brings that nastiness into the next round, I'm loving his game. I don't give a fuck if he puts up any points. He needs to be a son of a bitch. That game that he went -2 and then ended up having that assist and completely turning his game around, he had 12 hits. That's what they fucking need from that mutant.
Yeah, he was my X factor, and that can be positive and negative. In the beginning, he was negative. He turned it around. Even last night, there was a simple play. He was bringing it up the ice, and I saw in his brain he wanted to like feather this one through the middle and like keep jumping up.
They hit him with the bark collar.
Like, yeah, and then he just like chipped it off the boards to the winger, and the winger chipped it in, and they all got off.
Do you think Paul Coffey has a bark collar on him now, where it's like, oh, no, you're not making
Speaking of Paul Coffey, just incredible. I saw that. I don't know who sent the tweet.
Oh,
they have
it
a
was
picture.
Gans who texted me. He goes, "Coffey's the only one who knows the job's not finished." He was literally like,
he was just standing there like this, and somebody was like, Paul Coffey, like, what are you all smiling at? we got 4 more, but I thought they handled it. I mean. With what's gone on there over the course of the last 18 years, now, granted, the past few have been fine, but before that, the years of the Wit and the years of those Oilers teams, it was dark and just horrific. And now, to win it on home ice, to win the Western Conference on home ice, you understand that guys are like, holy shit, like Connor McDavid's playing for the Stanley Cup. And they didn't touch the trophy, neither did Florida. You saw Maurice actually go up to Barkov and remind him, don't touch that fucking thing. And Edmonton went the same route. I agree with that. I've never really understood touching it. I get it. You won your conference. It's hard to do, but we're touching one trophy, and it's the cup. So they stand there, and Paul Coffey's just thinking, it ain't over yet, boys. And the city knows it as well. But the city should be able to enjoy an enormous victory to get them back to have a chance to lift Lord Stanley's Cup.
now a little fun fact. I guess last year Maurice told Barkov not to touch it, and he accidentally did. So that was kind of the back. That's why he kept reinforcing it. And obviously, what was surprising is every other time that the Oilers have won the cup, they have touched it. They have touched the conference finals trophy. So that was an interesting nugget. But to go back to McDavid, boys, like obviously he's had a great playoff. Maybe in some games hasn't looked as dominant, and there has been some rumors that he's not 100%, nor is everyone. But for him to have that game in a closeout game at home, against the Dallas Stars, that goal that he scored to open
on Heiskanen. He did it.
Heiskanen. Look at he put Heiskanen in the blender.
Oh my god!
So and not to take anything away from it, John Cooper ended up texting our group chat with TNT, and as he pulled it over from that toe drag, the puck ended up rolling up. So when he poked on it on his backhand, that's why it went straight up. So it rolled up at the perfect time. So when it made contact with his blade,
or did he need to roll it up? Is honestly with this guy.
Fair enough.
Like this is the one guy he could be like, yeah, I actually meant to do that. He'd never say it, but yeah, I have this little move where I just like bring my stick above the puck, and then all of a sudden, like the momentum of the stick and the air and the wind, it just like rolls it up, and then I show
the gust of wind from Tits McGee pulling her shirt up at the perfect time, synchronized.
About 5 knots right there.
You guys, I'm so on cloud 9 because our experience at the Western Conference Finals, getting to get to that arena. Now, forget the hockey. The fact that you go to these Oilers playoff games and you leave the game and it's still light out, that adds to the whole mystique of summers, springs in Edmonton, and how these people wait in the darkness and the snow and the shit for the Oilers playoff runs to begin. And then now they're going to the Cup Final. So we witnessed the Western Conference Final in that building. Can you imagine what it's going to be like there? Can you believe?
Boys, I have chills thinking about it.
I do too. And like playing there in the old arena, and it was just so amazing. These fans for bad teams. And now, like, oh my God, they're playing for the cup with the greatest player. And now we get to see a fan base that's just been dying for this. This is Canada. The cup hasn't been there since 93. They have the chance to do it. And this fan base is just foaming at the mouth. They are drunk too. These people have been drunk for 2.5 months, just getting loaded every other night. There's husbands out there writing me DMs. My wife can't. I don't know if she could take another round. I'm hungover every single morning.
You're writing a check for half, just like RA.
And this husband's like, my wife's drunk every night too.
And then one guy's like, my wife's flashing her titties to the entire world to see. But
how about that 180?
Loser, RA.
How about that 180 if RA ends up with tits lady?
the anthem before these games, before the cup, guys. Now, very important, and Matthias Ekholm talked about this. He mentioned that when he was there with Nashville, and I think it was 2017 when Pittsburgh beat them, you got to get one on the road. So we'll get into the preview in a little bit, but you can't go down 0-2. Florida, they're playing the best team they've played, but they can do it.
Why don't we start? I mean, we're going to get to Dallas and we're going to give them praise. Incredible season. They had to beat some amazing teams. You'd think that maybe they were a little bit tired after going through the path that they went through. But let's start with the Oilers here. Skinner, he ends up sitting out 2 games in that series against Vancouver. And there's a video. I want to say it was G, maybe it was Army, sent it to the group chat about this like sports psychologist / G, do you want to bring that up, that video?
It's like meditation too.
A meditation coach, and he ended up saying, my man, you saw the embrace that he had with Skinner, but he looked like a completely different goalie after coming back after that reset. And to close out at home with that type of performance, because listen, McDavid, yes, he was electric, right? He had that sick goal. He had a beautiful sauce pass over to Hyman, but after that, boys, there wasn't much. The tied for the lowest amount of shots on goal in a playoff victory in the history of the NHL. They didn't have any type of offense after that. Do you have that, G, or do you want to just read it?
Yeah, so I'll just read the tweet. It says, the Oilers brought in one of the world's most respected sports psychologist and meditation coach, George Mumford, this season, who previously helped guide Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant to championships. Here he is hugging Stuart Skinner after Game 6 and saying, my man, to him. So when they have the video that we can't play that, we don't have the rights to it. But
now Biz, sorry about
buddy. Over to you. It's your Oilers, baby.
Stuart Skinner, and I talked about him and Nurse a lot throughout this series, and just coming back and being professional and dealing with brutal criticism and coming out on the other side. And like in life, not just sports, you get knocked down. Like, are you going to get up? How quick are you going to get up? And these two guys, they did it, and they did it with class. And yes, there was moments where Nurse was quick with the media and short-tempered and giving these short answers, which I understand. But then he showed up and he played his best hockey. Stuart Skinner is the youngest of 9 kids. Do you know how much that guy probably had to fend for himself growing up? Can you imagine being the youngest of 9? I mean, Cal's a month old, and he's already fending for himself out there being the youngest of 3. So he's obviously been through enough in his life where he knows how to maybe get knocked down and get himself right back up. And when he does interviews too, even after some of the bad games in the first few rounds, he was very cool and calm, and he was just like, yeah, I didn't have a great night. Like, he's open about himself and his game, and you can tell listening to him talk how much he has the self-belief. That's all that matters, dude. The outside noise, can you put that to the side? Can you stay off social media? No matter what, at some point when you're Skinner and Nurse in this playoff, you're going to hear it because you're getting questions. But it's the belief inside, and that's what these two guys have proven. And Skinner he outplayed Ottinger by a mile that series.
Better save percentage, everything.
Over 9 save percentage in that series. And people have always said you can't win a Stanley Cup with Stuart Skinner. And they haven't gotten it yet, but they're 4 wins away, and he's looking as dialed in as he's ever been. That was the greatest game that guy's ever played.
Moral, before you go, au contraire, mon ami, Keith Gretzky, assistant GM with the Oilers, obviously Wayne's brother. What was it, 3-4 years ago, there was a few years where Bakersfield would make decent runs in the AHL. And Wayne was like, oh, I didn't even think they were that good. Like, how are they winning? And Keith Gretzky was like, goaltending. This Stuart Skinner has won at every level he's been at, and he's helped carry his teams. He's going to be a Stanley Cup champion, mark my words. That was with Keith Gretzky. Yes, buddy, and everything's coming to fruition, along with the fact that they sent Broberg down to the minors this year, and they played him 25 minutes. And finally, come playoff time, they kept saying, he's ready. He's ready when you want him. He's ready when you want him. And sure enough, they put him in the lineup. I think he was put in game 4 as well, wasn't he? Or maybe it was game 5.
Game 5, I believe.
I think it was either game 4 or game 5, and he played 14 minutes. And since he stepped in, man, he's looked incredible. So some of these
game 4. It was
game 4, right? So
they made the lineup changes, and they put Perry and McLeod with Leon. They'd been scratches, and it was like, that's the thing about another Knobloch. You got to give this guy credit, dude. This guy has really made some significant lineup changes and not been afraid to mix it up, where you have your usual core and you don't want to. No, We're going to scratch Perry for a bunch of games. McLeod's getting scratched a game. Are we going to put these guys in? Yeah, we're going to put them back in with Leon. And we're going to get this Broberg in. And I felt bad for Vinny Desharnais. He actually got scratched. It was his birthday, the game he got scratched, the first one. But Broberg came in with a little different juice. And Gretzky said it on TNT Biz. They didn't put him in and play him 3 minutes. No, you're going to actually go in and play. And, buddy, he's blocking shots. He's skating the puck out of trouble. He scores the huge goal in Game 5 to make it 3-0.
Huge goal.
And it's like, that's Knobloch that's showing trust in guys. And also, I mentioned that this year he's been willing to sit guys down, realize when you need a break, but not bury you. And he's not burying guys. And he's like, you're going to get another chance. And he's done that.
He called that McLeod sitting a reset. So he, like you said, he doesn't throw guys under the bus. And going back to throwing McLeod and Perry back in the lineup, like you said, not playing 3 minutes for Broberg on the back end. The fact that he put Perry on the second line, he ends up making that play in Game 4 too, where he's in the neutral zone. He makes that bump back play to Nurse, man, to get his leg going as a veteran. If he's playing fourth line and he's playing 8 minutes, man, trust me, I know what it's like when you got the fucking Pistons that can't go because you're only getting a shift every 5 minutes. So the fact that he puts him in and then putting McLeod on the left side, who does have those wheels, who can get in on the forecheck, I thought maybe he was getting a little bit chewed up on the third line in that center role, but that's why they went out and got Henrique. Maybe they thought he was going to play left side with Connor. Nah, they got the chemistry on that first line. Bump him back down to where we know he's good. Third line center role. So everything that Knobloch has done as far as adjustments. How about this one? It felt like through the first 3 games, that flip play and that stretch play was killing them. You saw the second play that he made on Ekholm, which ended up leading to a goal. Tons of stretch plays where it felt like they neutralized Dallas's, and then they started doing it themselves. So unbelievable adjustments from Knobloch. The minute he stepped in, the ballsy choices he's made, he has been fucking as cool and calm as collected as any of these coaches that were in the top 4, given his inexperience at the NHL level. So bravo to him. And everybody talked about the Rangers being the team of destiny. Are the Oilers the team of destiny, Merles?
I love that you said the Rangers, because my original point is long gone now, but I had a new point about Knobloch. You know where he was coaching before he came to Edmonton?
Hartford?
The New York Rangers, Hartford Wolfpack. They let him go. And I know I screwed up the exact stat on it where the coach cannot win a Stanley Cup with another team. Hasn't happened in one time in 70 years. So I'm happy Knobloch's there. Yeah. He can win the cup and Maurice can win the cup. So
and then they can win it again years later, 2 Merles, maybe.
The Fugazis are gone.
Let me ask you about this one, Whit. And have we talked since Nurse got sewered, kind of with that media scrum day and how chaotic that was? Did we have
how about how his teammates stood up for him?
Connor McDavid took. I think the question was directed at Stuart Skinner, and he says, "No, I'm going to take that one." And then how about your boy Connor Brown after the game in the media scrum with
brought him right up. He goes,
the upper lipper right up top.
We feel good about each other. On that kill, we trust in each other. Unreal play by Doc there to win that battle and spring us. A lot to be said about Darnell. Everyone and their dog coming at him this morning. 2 tough bounces to start the game, and he settles in and plays probably his best game of the playoffs and leads us to a victory. So that's character right there.
I fucking love. I would never wear another man's jersey. I would consider, if we're there for the Stanley Cup Finals, to put that man's jersey on. I love Connor Brown.
Great series. I love what he went through this regular season, and then what he's done. And I said the playoffs is the new season. This guy's been a beast. And this team is so close. The sticking up for one another is amazing to see. I think that they know you're in Canada, dude. This is a different beast when you get this far, and they know there's going to be critics. There's going to be fans that are all over different guys. If we stick together, and like I said before about individuals, if we believe in each other, it doesn't matter what's said on the outside. And my biggest thing on my Spaces post-game last night, which was just a joy to be a part of. Merles came on. Elio came on. All right, I did a Spaces after Game 5. This fucking guy, Biz. So I'm doing the Spaces, and I got people coming in, requests, and I'm taking these awesome, callers. And I'm like, oh, boom, RA at the end. I was like, oh, I got to take RA in. These mutants are all coming on. And, yes, at the beginning, I'm muted. They're trying to figure out. The one guy who can't figure out how to turn his microphone on, RA.
I think when I finally did, It was like right when you were about to hang up, right when you hung up on me, because I could hear my voice coming back. I do have a problem with that space stuff. But did they call? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say was, and this is what I said last night, and Merle's agreed with me. The greatest players, they win the Stanley Cup, dude. The all-time greats win the Stanley Cup. It's a matter of time. They all do it. They all do it. And you can talk, Joe Thornton's right there and Iginla's right there, but they're not McDavid's. McDavid's different. This is Crosby. This is Gretzky. This is Orr, Lemieux, Ovechkin. They win it. And his time has come. And Florida's an incredible team. But McDavid has been through it all, and he's done it with class, and he's done it quietly, and there's been moments of frustration, and there's been moments of greatness, and it's now his time. And these players that come along once every 20, 30 years, they win Stanley Cups. And it's the Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid's time. Telling you that.
And
right
they
now.
also do it with the same suit on, too. I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
saw
so
him
is that true? Has he switched up the pants?
No,
Is it
everything the same. Look at that.
Belt, tie.
Did you guys?
Now the question is, does he go into game one with this suit on?
Absolutely.
Wayne,
You better.
I asked Wayne the same thing afterward. How about me throwing Wayne under the bus with the question? Do you guys have that one?
No.
Do you got that one, Fishy? Or are we not allowed to use that because it's TNT? I guess I'll shut. Is there anything else, RA, that we want to discuss about what Edmonton has done thus far? Are there any?
And we have Jason Strudwick coming on too, so he'll be able to fill us all in as well. He lives there. He's on a podcast. Got your back, pod.
I don't. I think that if you could name a guy whose names came up in trade rumors more than Nugent Hopkins, I think you'd be hard pressed. And this guy is the ultimate Oiler. He does it all. The coaches love him. He's good at both ends of the ice. He's the most humble guy you could imagine. And the fact that he's stepped up the way he has in these playoffs and this special run, buddy, he deserves everything he's gotten. And I'll go as far as saying this: if he finishes out this contract as an Edmonton Oiler, I think he deserves to be in the Ring of Honor.
Oh,
if they win a Stanley Cup, he's going right to the Ring of Honor.
The longest tenured Oiler, who McDavid saw some darkness at the beginning. I was there with Nuge. He was a part of this shit. And this guy, from the minute he came into the league, a crazy backstory too, where I believe when he was like 12 or 13, even play hockey for 1 year. Like, I'd love to chat with him on this pod. Maybe they win the Stanley Cup. He'll be willing to come on. But to get those 2 goals in Game 5 for a guy who's been through so much and done it always quietly and just gone about it, done his job, never complained. And you're right, Biz. He's the Swiss Army knife. I think Leon was the one who said, even before Game 5, yeah, Nuge is the coach's favorite player.
Yeah,
and that's the type of you just know what you're going to get night in and night out. How many clips did I post this season of back checks by him where he's stripping guys of the puck on breakaways? And he's also doing it offensively. He's the only guy to everyone who does it on the PK, on the power play, and 5-on-5. And he's able to just change games with his skating. So the fact, I mean, what's Nuge been there now? This has to be 13 years, I'd say, right?
He's 31, so yeah, he's 30.
What is
he
it?
looks like he's 20. He's 31, but he looks like he's 22. He looks
He's played as an 18-year-old.
Just
So
over.
we're looking at 13 years of Nugent Hopkins, and he's finally in a Stanley Cup final. Why don't we try to bring on Jason Strudwick if he's waiting? I don't know. This guy's he was a long-time Oiler. He lives in Edmonton still. I don't know if he's ready.
Is he in the green room?
He's not ready just yet.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Nugent Hopkins, if you watch him, he does all these tiny little subtle plays. I think, Biz, you had the clip yesterday. He's the winger, and he somehow was still like the low and slow center the one time when the breakout needed it. Just so calming. I noticed Connor Brown last night making a ton of subtle little plays just when everything was all over him. They were calm, and you don't see it on the score sheet, but those players are so important to win a Stanley Cup, and I'm feeling good about
the biggest thing, and everyone said this, and it is true. Now you've seen it. They were never going to get to this part of the season to play for the Cup with Leon and McDavid playing together. I think that it was amazing, and they'd get out on the ice, and every shift together, they'd hem me in the offensive zone, they'd score goals, but you just knew over the course of winning 16 games in the spring, you can't do it with one line. And to be able to separate them and get Nuge on one line and then have McLeod and Perry with Leon right now, that has completely changed the team. Along with that third line, That third line, now a big question mark will be Kane's health. We saw what Kane did to Tkachuk in the 2022 second round when Biz had to shave his head. He was all over Matthew Tkachuk. He only played 4 minutes last night. It looked like maybe a shoulder. Now, this 5 days, this could be huge for him. They're going to need Kane. They're going to need that third line with Holloway and Henrique to keep this thing going, because that's the difference. The Panthers' third line with Lusterine and Lundell and Tarasenko is crazy good.
Lundell's been incredible. Lundell has been incredible. Probably the best third-line center all playoffs long, scoring goals. And the only other guy we haven't talked about who ended up scoring the eventual game winner was Hyman. Probably going to go down as top 5 greatest free agency signings of all time, especially on what he's making. He's been remarkable. And now, what was that, his 15th goal? Or
14th.
14th. Yeah. So the NHL record is 19 goals in playoffs. Yep. So he's 5 away here. That's not out of the question if this series ends up going deep. And if
he were to get 20 and break that record, would you guys agree that the Oilers are winning? If Hyman gets 6 goals in the finals, I would assume that means the Oilers are raising the cup.
I would assume that
would be a lot of power play goals. And the power play's going again. And that's another aspect of this team. The power play, it went quiet, and it was going to at some point. You weren't going to clip at that rate the entire run. But at the biggest moments of the season, it turned back on. And that's what's amazing to see. And the Game 4 win didn't really have anything. And then Game 5 and 6, boom, that power play comes back.
4 power play goes quickly, RA. We got to mention, we did last pod too. Mark Stewart, Knobloch said, I don't want any credit for the PK other than appointing Mark Stewart as the PK guy. I think Army was the guy who brought it up originally, at the fact that he was the one who took it over. So 28 straight kills. I want to say the NHL record for straight kills in a playoffs was like 39. So they do still have a little bit more work, which is crazy that somebody killed off 39 straight fucking power plays in an NHL playoff going against the NHL's best. But remarkable stuff from the Oilers, and probably a big part of why they won that series.
No, and a lot of people who are saying the Panthers are just going to smoke the Oilers. The Panthers sweep, Panthers in 5. Like, everyone said Dallas was going to do the same thing. So just hold your horses here.
Yeah, we'll get to the predictions in a little bit. I just got word Jason Strudwick is ready, but we do have a word from our sponsor first.
Struddy.
All right, everyone, before we go any further, here's a few words from our friends over at Game Time. Stanley Cup starting up right now, everybody. Not sure what city you're in, but if you're looking for tickets, absolutely want to hit up Game Time. No doubt about it. They always have the best deals, the best seats, whatever you're looking for, no matter what town you're in. I'm probably not going to get to Florida for Game 1, but I'm taking a look right here. Red Sox, they're not doing so hot lately, but you can see them real cheap, maybe like $10 cheap. But I'm looking at Hootie and the Blowfish. They're coming to Fenway, I think, later this month. Getting the builder for $60. You cannot beat that. Can't beat it. That's the great thing about Game Time. Tickets to Game Time, the official ticket and partner of Barstool Sports. You shouldn't have to worry when you're looking for tickets. No matter where you are, where you're going, Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the events, all the concerts, sports, anything you want to go to. Game Time hooks it up. They also have flash deals for sudden discounts. They get zone deals if you're feeling a little flexible. And their lowest price guarantee, which means that if you find the same seats for less anywhere else, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Whew. Game Time is the best place for last-minute seats with up to 60% off of your favorite events. What are you waiting for? I'm going to grab those Hootie tickets right now. Head over to Fenway in a few weeks. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Chiclets for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, boys, time to bring on our guest. He played 14 years in the NHL, 3 of them up in Edmonton, which is why we're going to bring him on to talk about the Stanley Cup Final. It's a pleasure to welcome to the Spittin Chiclets podcast for the first time, Jason Strudwick. How's it going, brother?
Good boys. Good to see you guys. I mean, I'll tell you what, I feel like a model amongst you 4 guys. Holy jeez.
You are.
Turn the video off.
My former landlord, he was like a slumlord, guys. Guy was torturing me.
You lived with Struddy or at one of his
places? No, I lived in his house when he went over to Europe for a year.
Yeah, I went over to Europe. I come back. I have like 3 spoons and my mattress. Literally, I burned it. I took it into the yard and just burned my mattress. Like, it was a tough start.
Is that where you got chin disease from Struddy? Was that when it really started taking shape?
Struddy was the guy that every day I wore sweatpants and a hoodie, and he's like, "Holy fuck, you and your leisure suits. Are you shitting me? Have you ever dressed up to look presentable one time?"
Just velvet. All he wore was velvet. He was like George Costanza with a worse body.
Hey, what did you?
Same with George. The Oilers tried firing me, and I just kept showing up.
Strud, what did you make when Whit hopped off the bandwagon early in the season? Are you okay hopping him back on?
Yeah, I mean, I know Whit. I've known him for a long time. He just, whatever way the wind's blowing, right? What the easiest path for Whit? So whatever works. Like, I'm sure he picked Florida, Edmonton. I'm sure he picked those two.
I thought we were gonna have to go to Vancouver to roast Whit. We get one live here today. This is
incredible.
This is the ultimate roaster.
Hey, let's
Easy
not even
target.
dive into the Oilers right away. Some Whit stories from your time playing with them. What's the one that stands out?
Oh God, I mean, you know, he's a fun guy now, but every day we come to the rink, it looked like someone kicked his dog, right? And I'm like, why are you so unhappy, man? You know, like, yeah, your feet are a little funky, and he used to have a little ball and roll his foot over this ball all the time. Like, maybe you spend a little time in the gym, work on your legs. Your legs are as thick as a spaghetti, you know.
Oh no, don't tell him that, man. He put me on the shit list after I went after his calves one year at Penguins
But
camp.
he's the only guy that wore sweatpants underneath his tracksuit to make his legs look thicker when he head out into town.
Hey, we're making you a
I wore
regular.
my shit pants to the bar.
We're making Strud a regular.
Well,
Fuck
they're all the
this.
same. All your pants look the same. They were velvet. I didn't know the difference.
Oh my god.
I was like a Russian.
Oh, well, hey, Strud, those were the dog days, but they're not the dog days anymore, man. Off to the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah, you know what? The city, and listen, I played on some of the teams that struggled, but the city, you know, it's just embracing this moment. And Connor came, and you know, there were some different GMs with some different plans, and they were, you know, trying to hurry this thing up. But you know, Ken Holland came in and he kind of stabilized things. Okay, we're going to build this piece by piece, and he said in his introductory press conference, my job is to give these guys a chance every time to get in the playoffs, and then to try to make it a little bit better. And you know, he's done that. You know, he's added pieces. You know, the Hyman, you know, Ekholm, what a massive trade that is. And then he hoped for some internal development. Bouchard has taken his game to a level that I didn't frankly know defensively he could do. Holloway's coming online. Broberg's playing, and Stuart Skinner. You know, is there a more talked about player in these playoffs than Stuart Skinner? Is pushed out of the series in Vancouver. His coach has faith, puts him back in for must-win games, 2 of them. And since then, he's been one of, if not the hottest goalie in the playoffs remaining. So, I mean, you know, the city is just absolutely on fire, guys. Those games, it's so loud. Outside, it's incredible. I mean, there's signs, posters everywhere. It's. I think I even saw a Whitney jersey. People are so excited.
Oh, they're
walking
coming
around.
out of the woodwork.
I've gotten a few DMs.
Sorry, that was a Ray Whitney jersey, not a Ryan Whitney. My bad. Sorry, Rick. Sorry.
Well, Struddy, as a defenseman, you've seen like certain guys can get beat down a little bit by the Edmonton fan base, and Darnell Nurse over the course of his career there, while playing great hockey at times, at other times with his contract hit, which, mind you, isn't his fault. He signed it. Struddy would have killed a bag of kittens to sign that contract, but his number is high. But after what happened in this series and last series, and then him coming out and being disgusted after game 3, what have you seen change in his game, and what have you heard around the team in terms of what he means for those guys?
Well, Darnell's a huge part of the locker room, right? The guys love him, and he's really a big part of the fabric of the success. But what I think Darnell wasn't doing to start the playoffs was playing with an edge. We've seen him in previous playoffs be really physical and intimidating. After some articles are written, and after that kind of tough moment exchange with the media, the Marshawn Lynch, where I'm just here to answer the questions or whatever. He came out and he had 12 hits that night, and he was an absolute beast. I'm talking a beast, and he's been like that since then. And when he's, you know, menacing and intimidating, doesn't mean you have to fight, but just pushing guys around for no reason. There was a play last night. He just pinned, I want to say it was Marchman, just beside the net for no reason. Like, he's like, I'm bigger and stronger than you. I'm going to hold you down here, and what are you going to do about it? And he needs to do that, well, to get out of this last round. But now going against Florida, he needs to be that intimidating, presence that we've seen him do many times before. So, whether that, kind of got him going that way or he figured it out on his own, whatever, it doesn't matter. He is now playing the type of hockey they need him to because Bouchard is playing well. We know what Ekholm is all about. And now you bring Nurse on. That's 3 defensemen, playing 25 to whatever a night. One of them is pretty much on the ice all the time. And that is a huge impact for the team. And he just sets that presence and make other guys feel brave and want to follow in what he's doing.
Jason, do you think maybe because there seemed to be like a lack of physicality, maybe a lack of scrums and sort of face washing that we see in a lot of series, do you think maybe that made him sort of subconsciously lower his compete level where he wasn't sort of playing that role you just mentioned?
Yeah, crazy. I mean, Vancouver, they were just trying to pound the Oilers, right? And then you go against Dallas, and you're right. If I don't think there was any scrum. I think one guy dropped a contact. No, one guy lost a contact. They all got down. People thought it was a scrum, but they're trying to get the contact up, and so there was nothing. There was no scrums, and that'll be different. So I think for the Oilers, they got to think about that. Like, hey, this is not going to be fun. You got to play. It's going to be hell. This is going to be a hell series. We've seen what Florida's done to the teams they've played. And you've got to raise that compete level. But you know what, guys? They've done it. We've seen them do it before, and they have a big team. Yeah, people talk about the skill, but let's look at the size. I mean, Leon Draisaitl is a really big guy. You got Darnell Nurse, Ekholm, Bouchard, 3 big D-men. Kulak's a big guy. You got Cody Ceci, a big guy. So your back end can handle it. Then up front, Kane, Dylan Holloway's a big guy. Nuge isn't slight. Yeah, Perry, another big body. Brown plays hard. Like, they've got guys that are willing to and able to play in those heavy games, but you can't take a backseat to Florida. You can't come out the first game and say, oh man, these guys are hitting. They're going to hit you in warm-up. They're going to hit you in the morning skate. So be ready for that and mentally prepare for 7 games of hell. But that's what makes it so worth winning the Stanley Cup, because it's so hard and it's going to be hell and you're going to be hurting at the end, but you got to do it.
I go back to
go ahead, Whit.
I was just going to say, going back to a couple of years ago, I thought Kane was one of their better playoff performers, right? I think he had close to 14 goals. Hasn't been the same player this year. I think that he is going to be a huge element to this series coming up. Is he a little bit banged up and injured? And what do you know about him? And maybe why hasn't he been up to what the standards are for Evander Kane, especially come playoff time?
Yeah, it feels like he's been fighting something. And then last game you saw, he only played just a really small amount. He was kind of in and out of the lineup or in and out of the bench at a certain point in that game. But the thing I keep thinking about is when they played Calgary and he neutered Tkachuk. He neutered him, right? He went after him and was all over him. And they're going to need a full-blown Evander Kane in this series. They need him everywhere on the ice and being that leader. Just like I talk about Darnell in the back end, they need Kane doing it. I think for Evander, they're trying to find 3 lines, and he's been at times with in the second line beside Leon, and then on third line at different times. So he maybe hasn't always played the same kind of skill level at center that he has in the past when he scored, those 14 goals you talked about, Biz. But I think that he's got to bring it, no matter where he is in the lineup, he's got to bring it and be effective, because Sam Bennett, Tkachuk, they're not going to wait around. They don't care. They are taking no prisoner. But Kane loves that style of hockey, and he has a massive ego, and that's exactly the Kane they need to show up when they play game 1 on Saturday.
Yeah, Struddy, I just wanted to circle back. You're talking about all the big D the Oilers have. Knoblauch has pulled all the right strings so far. Do you think he puts Desharnais back in at the start of this series, pulls the Swede out? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's series 2 and series 3. It's taken Knoblauch about 2-3 games to figure out the proper line combination that's needed. Go back to the last one when Perry and McLeod are out, and all of a sudden they're on the second line beside Leon Draisaitl. The whole city was like, "What the hell's going on here?" Right? But it was the right move. It was the right move, and give him credit. He did it. Then you pull out one of your most important penalty killers on an absolute heater, and you pull him out again. I was like, oh, wow. Like, you trust the guy, but you're like, what is going on here? So they take him out, and Broberg goes in, and they figure it out still. So he's done a really good job. So I don't know if they're going to start the series where they ended. I think that the third line for Florida is going to be an issue point for the Edmonton Oilers. That's a really good third line, and their third line, if Henrique is there, and I think he's a huge part. When he was hurt, it wasn't working for them as well. Now that he's there, I think he's a really smart player. I've advocated for the Oilers to get this guy for a number of years. Really smart player. So I think they have to make sure that they bolster that third line, but they can't take away from Leon, because if Leon ends up playing against Sam Bennett's line, that's a pretty good line as well. So I don't know what he's going to do. I do say, though, that he is not afraid of change. And I think, he's a little bit like a robot. 2-3 games, he figures it out. They get the lines right. And then the Oilers take over. We've seen the last 2 series.
And you're talking about Derek Ryan, right? Taking him out. I thought he was doing awesome on draws, especially on that PK. And he was playing that first PK unit with Nugent Hopkins. So like you said, the balls to pull him out. And do you think that it had to do with maybe size as well? Because even towards the end of the series in the last game, Dallas's fourth line, it was Pavelski. They had Steele. And they put that Bork kid in where it was so small, where I feel like they were getting ran around.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a challenge, right? You want to, I think that what he does with the fourth line is he keeps those guys fresh. Now they're not playing a ton of minutes, but I think you've seen Carrick sit, you've seen, I think Brown sat, you've seen, obviously Derek Ryan sit, Janmark hasn't sat. So they're bringing different guys in and out to kind of keep that line fresh and maybe different looks he wants. But, I didn't really answer the question, but with Vinny, I do think you see Vinny in this next series, Darnay, that is. I think that the size and Vinny takes up a ton of space. The challenge is that Florida forechecks really hard, and Vinny's has really helped. So does Broberg would you rather have not that Broberg's tiny, but he's not as big as Darnay. Would you rather have him because he moves the puck well and carries it out of trouble more than Vinny does, or do you want to have someone banging like we see with Darnay? So I'm going to give it 2-3 games here, guys, for him to find the right match, what they want to put in there. But I think you'll see he is not afraid to use everyone who's, maybe not down to Sam Gagner, unfortunately for Sam, but using everyone as disposable to keep them ready and then give the lines different looks.
I think that also you're going to maybe see Carrick in this series with how Florida plays, like forechecking wise, and he's probably a little more physical and tougher to play against than Ryan. We'll see how it goes. But for you personally, I know you and Rashog, and I think it's Rob Brown, do a Got Your Back pod, which is post-game every Oilers game all year. So looking back to the time where I quit and the days were dark and what's happened with this team, like, what are your thoughts from then to now? Like, did you even see them being able to come back and get in the playoffs in November when they were sitting in 31st place?
I have a bit of a unique take. I believe that the team they just wanted to win the Stanley Cup in September. I really feel that. And they forgot about the process. Now, I've never won a Stanley Cup. I've won some championships, when I was younger, but it's just daily, right? Just bringing it daily and not getting too far ahead of yourself. And I remember when, after that one game, what was it, 13th, 14th game, like, holy geez, like these guys this might not actually turn around. And when they brought in Knobloch, I think he just told everyone to relax and just do your job. Just do your own job. Connor and Leon, you guys don't have to win every game for us. We have other guys that can get it done. And he empowered the bottom six. And I keep stressing this to anyone who'll listen. It's great to have Connor and Leon. They're amazing players. And against Vancouver, he went back to playing those guys half the game. And it's fun to watch for a fan. But there's, 15 other players on that team that want to contribute. They want to help. You need to empower those guys. And Knobloch did that. Except for that little stretch in the Vancouver series, he got everyone going. Guess what? You know what, Derek Ryan, you're killing penalties. Connor Leon, you're not killing penalties anymore. You're on the power play. Hyman, you're on the power play. Nuge plays everywhere. He even cleans the ice during intermissions, but he's a little bit different. But these other guys, everyone got a job. And that's so important because you want to feel valued. You can't just say, hey, Struddy, Witz, we need you guys, but you're playing us 5 minutes a night. You don't really need us. You could bring someone from, that won a prize and bring them down. So it's absolutely huge. And he's done that. And he's got those guys believing. So I look back to that darkness. I remember we did one post-game pod. I'm like, oh my God, they're not going to make it. But then Knobloch came in. Paul Coffey too has done an amazing job with the D, and they got them believing, and they got on a run. They started playing better. They started finding success as a team rather than trying to do it themselves. And not that they're selfish, but a lot of times that comes from a place, I want to do it. I want to help the team. But often you do more and it actually produces less.
Jason, after Connor, Leon, Nugent, Hyman, is pretty big drop off as far as points for the forwards. And excluding Kane, is there any play you think might go off in the final that has been pretty quiet so far in the playoffs, perhaps?
Well, Dylan Holloway's had some special minutes, right? And this guy, if you're not familiar with him, he played in the minors for quite a bit of the season's been hurt, but he can skate, he can hit, and he's got a high engine. I love forwards like that. You know why? Because I hated guys that played like that. I wanted the soft European coming down on me, or a guy like Biz that worked hard but didn't have the hands to score. So you fucker. Mustache looks good though.
I was gonna clean in the ice like Nuge though too. during the TV timeout.
Hey, the only European you didn't want was Gaborik when you were chasing him down on that breakaway at MSG.
Gaborik, -5 again, and Gaborik gets a break. I could have chased that guy. I could have skated down the longest river. I would have never caught that guy. Like, it was unbelievable.
You should have just skated out the Zamboni door.
I tried. They locked me. They're like, no,
he ran into the glass there at the end.
They're like, stay on. They're like, stay on the ice. We want to get another goal. It was so embarrassing. I hated that game. But you know, I think Holloway has a real chance to do it because he's such a wild card and he drives the net. And there's a lot of people talking about him. He plays like Glenn Anderson. He goes to the net with reckless abandon. He can hit, and he's still young. He's fun to watch. And I wonder if they don't put him beside Draisaitl and Kane. And I'd love to see those three guys play against the Florida Panthers, Sam Bennett line. I think that'd be, give me 7 games of that, guys. It'd be so much fun to watch.
Strud, I might change my pick. You got me fucking fired up on the
There it
Oilers
is
right now.
There it is.
No, we don't want you.
There it is.
All right. Mush nasty.
Struddy, I got a question. 18 years since 06 in that amazing series against Carolina. I think the most memorable game for the Oilers was just Game 6. They're down 3-2. They crush them at home, and everyone thought they'd get him going back to Carolina. But with the Oilers fans starving for this and this chase for the cup, do you think a good amount of people go down to Florida for games 1 or 2 or one of those two? Or you think it's more just, it's such a hard travel that it'll be more about all of the home games in Edmonton?
Yeah, it's a long ways to go, right? I think it's actually the longest between 2 Stanley Cup teams ever.
It is. Beating Boston and Van.
It's crazy. So yeah, you know what? I think that I've had some buddies text me. I wonder if I wanted to go. I'm like, guys, that's a pretty big commitment. Like, that's 2 full travel days, right, to go there. But I do think.
Oh no, you haven't heard yet. You haven't heard. No, we're gonna get Chiclets hair. You need a seat.
A private jet for like 200 of us.
We've made the lady with the tits in the crowd one of the stewardess too. We got her off the oil rig, and she's actually going to work for us on Chiclets hair.
She loves guys with mustaches. You'll fit right in, Biz.
I'll give her a little ride. I'll give her a free ride. I don't know if you finished answering that question, but you seem to know like the depths of what's been going on with this organization. I think here, I'm going to read this tweet off for you. This was G, our producer, sent this over. The Oilers brought in one of the world's most respected sports psychologists and meditation coaches, George Munford, this season, who previously helped guide Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant to championships. Were you aware that they'd done this?
Yeah, so this came, I want to say it was just, I think in the fall. I can't remember if it was before or after Knobloch arrived. But I looked him up and I saw it. I'm like, hey, this is good. And oftentimes I think what fans and even, some of us in the media forget is that the improvements are sometimes very small and you don't know it's going to come from a certain area or not. Like, you can go and watch the team practice and these guys shooting their one-timers or how good a shape are they on. They take their shirts off and do the VO2 test. But, when you're talking about trying to be the best team in the world, you got to find small percentage increases. Yeah. And, the Oilers have been through a lot. You look at the last 3 seasons, it's been 3 rounds, 2 rounds, both times losing to Stanley Cup finalists, and then the start they had this year. And I think their heads were spinning. You bring in someone who just can kind of normalize that and give you ways to deal with it and maybe help you cope with those types of situations and make you feel better and then arm you with ways to have success. And I think that it's been a great addition for them. Again, just a small little detail. Another thing is the way, obviously we know the way you eat, or Dave Pelche, the skating coach, go to practice and see him working with Evan Bouchard on different things. Not that he's a bad skater, but if he can improve by, 0.2%, and everyone does, now the team's just a little bit better skater. So Daryl Cates, the owner of the Oilers, he's not around a lot, but he's given every opportunity for the team with money, bringing anyone you need to help this team win. And that is what this sports psych guy is as well. And I just love that they've done that, because you never know what's going to be the difference. And so far, I think this has definitely helped.
I got one little quick follow-up too, is we talk about lineup adjustments and the line combinations. I felt like that flip play and the way that Dallas was stretching was really creating a lot of headaches for the Oilers. And I almost felt like they not only neutralized that, but were partly like doing it themselves. Did you notice that at all? And like, was that a drastic change in the series, in your opinion?
Yeah. So what happens when they stretch out a forward as a D-man, you have to back up. And then now that creates a lot of space between you and your forward. And the Oilers like to forecheck quite hard. And you'll see them quite often. They have 3 guys kind of down below the dots, which is pretty aggressive way to forecheck. The problem is if the other team, the Dallas in this case, gets the puck and someone's already stretching, it creates an odd man opportunity. So I thought the Oilers did well is they started making sure that their top forward reloaded above that guy. So now it wasn't an odd man, and it just calms everything down on those rushes. And as a D-man, you feel a lot more confident standing up. And then the other side, like I was surprised how much the Oilers rimmed the puck. They rimmed the puck a ton, and then they did flip it out a lot. And yeah, and it sometimes you have to, but I look at some of those guys that can make plays, and I'd like to see them make plays because I want to see that puck get to McDavid or Leon in the middle, because now they have speed, and that pushes the other team back and doesn't allow them forecheck as much. So Florida's going to be hard. I think we'll see some more rimming again, guys. They forecheck tight and hard.
And you just mentioned earlier about the Desharnais and how maybe sometimes he struggles to go back and make a play, where if Florida and the way they forecheck, if Broberg's in and all these other guys who can make plays, it seems like that flip out play, in which Florida does use a lot themselves as well, could come in handy, right?
Yeah, it could. And you need mobility to be able to defend both sides of that, right? Getting by the puck quick, or if they flip it out, to get back quick and make plays. But I keep stressing it's not just on the D, and I'm biased that, D-man is the hardest position to play in hockey. A winger, you don't even have to have a brain. You just skate. Center's pretty tough.
Agreed.
But as a D-man, it's really hard. You really got to be back and making smart plays, but you need your forwards to come back too. Because what you want, and coaches talk about a lot, you want to have those 5 guys in the picture. If the two D-men are standing at their blue line, you don't see any forwards for your team, who are they passing to, right? That makes it really hard. So you got to work hard to get back. But the Oilers have time now. They had 5 or 6 days before the series starts. They'll go through these things. But again, I think Florida hits like a hurricane, and they're going to come out hard. And the Oilers got to be mentally prepared for 7 nights of hell.
Yeah, we're gonna get into Florida soon, and just this amazing run and what their team's built on. But I actually wanted to ask you. I was dogging the NBA for like their 9 days between the end of the conference finals and the finals, but I guess I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. I love this 5-day break. I think these ratings are going to be enormous for the Cup final, and I love the buildup. I think these next 5 days, just this week, this work week of just thinking about these games, it's only going to make Saturday night that much more special. Would you agree?
Yeah, like honestly, like I can't speak for Panthers fans, but Oilers fans need a break. Like it's been crazy. It's been the city. I'm telling you guys, it's absolutely on fire. There's China whites everywhere. I love China whites. They're all over the place. People are having them left and right, and it's an absolute gong show. So a few days to calm down, and then hit it hard again Saturday night. But more importantly, let the players kind of, just take a deep breath, recharge, maybe get a little bit healthier. Hopefully both teams are healthy. I'd love to see both teams healthy and just going at it for 7 games would be amazing. Then those couple travel days between, it's a long day of travel. Like that is a long, I've done it from Florida to Vancouver a couple times when I played for the Canucks.
Not if you're getting sucked off on Chiclets Air from the Pitts McGee and the do another lap.
You don't have to play.
Circle the strip.
What's China White? You just mentioned China White.
Well, it's a little piece of heaven. It's kind of, I get a lot of people don't think it's a very gritty type drink, but it's a little shot here in Canada. It's, was it creme de cacao and has a little bit of nutmeg on top? Oh, it's delicious. I used to drink it because
I always learn about a new shot.
I know.
They were on
China White's usually something different where I come from.
They're
always on sale. Wolf. They're always on sale. $1.75 the back bar. You'd love them.
Well, we don't promote that stuff around here because we're Pink Whitney drinkers.
Fair point. I have those too.
We'll bring you a bottle. We'll bring you a bottle.
Struddy, we would love to catch up with you. I'd love to grab a drink and shoot the shit and see you when we're in Edmonton. Hope we're definitely there game 3, maybe possibly game 4, but we're looking forward to running into you there. And thanks for coming on.
Buddy, pack your nicest tracksuit, bud. The nice one.
You don't
go cheap. Do a nice one.
I'm going to order a new one. Maybe an Oilers velour.
When's Jeffrey Ross going to come on for his set after the roasting you've been given all day? Holy shit.
All right, this has been long overdue, and we appreciate your time. One of the funniest fuckers. Whit's been talking about you for a long time. So you've been awesome, buddy, and we can't wait to see you in Edmonton.
Boys, when it comes to Wits, the material writes itself. Enjoy it. Talk to you guys later.
Oh, man. These dreads.
What a guy, hilarious. Man. How did you... This must have been a riot every day in the locker room with this guy.
He would be all over me, and then we'd get on the ice. I'd be like, "Holy fuck, Struddy, pass the puck." He's a great chirper, and he was just an old vet. He'd been around. He was tough as shit. For people who don't know,
I fought him.
Did you fight him?
I fought him. I think, yeah.
No shit.
I mean, pull it up.
But that got your back pod's awesome for Oilers fans. There's so much Oilers content out there with Oilers Nation, and then him, Rashog, and Rob Brown. They recap every game. So you imagine, like, we're talking about all these teams, and we're going to get into the Panthers. Don't worry.
Yep.
And they deserve their flowers. But for Oilers fans to get to cover that team that intently and closely and all year post-game coverage to get to the Cup Final, that's a dream come true for those guys. So it's awesome to see.
Sorry, before we do get to Florida, we do have a few words from our sponsor. All right, before we go any further, here's a few words from our good friends over at DraftKings. We're this close to crowning the Stanley Cup champion, folks. And with the action heating up on the ice, it's even hotter at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. There's only so many games left, and DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boost, and so much more. Don't miss out, or you'll have to wait until the next NHL season to place your bets. And it's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your squad, and place your first bet. It's that simple. You new to DraftKings? Listen up. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500. Just deposit at least $5, and you'll get a bonus bet back equal to your first bet if it doesn't hit. Woohoo! Good stuff. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Chiclets. That's code Chiclets for new customers to get a no-sweat bet up to $1,500 if your first bet doesn't hit. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. All right, boys. Actually, before you jump into Florida, I had a couple stats I want to throw your way. Bouchard, just the sixth defenseman to record 20 assists in a postseason. Coffey had 25. What? Did someone just bust ass? That had to be Miz.
Miz stepped on a duck.
Somebody stepped on a duck. Bouchard, just the sixth defenseman to get 20 assists. Coffey has the record 25. Leach, McGinnis, McCarr, and Heiskanen. Heiskanen is the only one of those defensemen to not win the Stanley Cup that same year. And then McDavid. This is just craziness. The sixth player to record multiple 30-point playoff years. He did it back in 2022. He joins Wayne, who's done it 6 times. Messier did it 3 times. And then Yari Curry, Mario, and Kucherov have all done it twice. So, it's just like to give these guys, like you said, with their flowers for
no, and I
records.
think the last thing on this series I do want to say, Dallas is set up for the long run. That's a hell of a hockey team with a young core, a bunch of guys. I think they're going to get a Stanley Cup at some point, but you got to bring up Joe Pavelski. And if this ends up being his final swan song, what a career. What an amazing player. Had an amazing regular season, too. I mean, I think he was 29, 28 goals, and then just kind of went a little cold in the playoffs. You feel bad if this is the end for him, how he went out. I'm sure that's not how he saw it ending. But what an unreal player that guy's been for a long time. 7th-round draft choice. He did it in San Jose. He did it for the Dallas Stars. He's an incredible person. So shout out to Joe Pavelski if this is the end for him.
Yeah, I think we could spend a little bit more time on their team too. I mean, they played fucking Colorado and they played Vegas. That probably took a lot of wind out of their sails.
That's what we said would hopefully happen for the Oilers too.
Yeah,
it did.
And they had to play most of it with 5D. They did have Petrovic step in, who started playing a little bit more ice than that Lundqvist, or is that how you say his last name, who was playing like 3-4 minutes. It did feel, with obviously the injury to Tanev, he didn't look exactly like himself before taking that shot off the foot. Haskin in the game before, I think he played over 10 minutes in the first. So they just had to rely so heavily on him where, he gets beat on that McDavid goal. Didn't really look like himself. They didn't have Hakanpää due to injury, so that would have helped bolster that.
That was a huge loss.
That was a big loss. He's a big body, helps clear the net front.
He's like Mikola on the Panthers.
Bingo. A great comparison where it's like a perfect 5 or 6 kind of guy. Wyatt Johnston came on the scene, man, 10 fucking goals in his second year, man. This guy is going to seem like he's going to be a generational type player. Stankoven. Unfortunately, Duchesne had that big goal to end Colorado's season, but didn't have a point all of that round, right? Didn't really notice him at all. I thought Jamie Benn was okay, but he had to go against the big dogs every night. And the power play, boys, the power play was brutal. It didn't provide
7 straight games. They didn't score 7 straight games.
Didn't provide them any momentum, nothing. It was just flat. I think it was Henrik Lundqvist or Wayne pointing it out. He's like, they had Jamie Benn like near the blue line on their power play, where it's like, just fucking pound pucks to the net and just fucking have him stand in front. Like, just simplify things at least to get some type of momentum where they just kept going back to the same shit. And credit Edmonton, though. They kept that the two high forwards. The one forward would drop below the top guy and he would take away that seam pass. So Stuart Skinner never really had to go from post to post. Like, I couldn't think of one time when he had to go and make a post to post type save on.
They were
one
taking that away and then trusting that the D would come out to go to the flank and either block a shot. And they said, we're not giving you the seam. We're going to see if we can block a shot or if Skinner can make a save, but we're not giving you that cross seam pass. And it worked.
So, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else that you noticed from Dallas, Murr, but, you know, it was an incredible season. As Whit said, set up for success, great coaching, maybe could have made some adjustments later in that series against Edmonton, which came back to bite them. But what did you see from them and what disappointed you? What did you like?
Yeah, it's like you said, the adjustments. Struddy was talking about Knobloch, how he made all sorts of adjustments. They never changed anything. The power play lost them the series, but as we're talking DraftKings, I would say this is the DraftKings segment. Dallas, you're the favorite next year already. So good things are coming to Texas. And I like that team a lot. I wish them good luck.
And imagine me eliminating the New York Rangers and Glassbanger in back-to-back days. That fucking guy. He's been pretty quiet online the last couple of days. Suck on that, Banger.
Ain't bagging much except for his five dime fucking pros that he's got on his arm there. And as far as that power play, you know, bent up the blue line business. I mean, I think it's well established. He's not one that likes to go down low at all. So it wasn't too much of a surprise.
Oh,
there.
for Christ's sake!
Sorry,
Come on, all right.
I can't resist those.
Sake.
Come on, guy.
Christ's
All
sake!
right.
Dental plan. All right. Hey, we're going to go Tyler Seguin. I'm going to go back to him for a little bit. He had actually a real good quote about Pavelski. G's going to fire it up for us here.
Hockey's hard, you know. You need a lot of things to go right. You need to have that opportunity. We had that opportunity. We went through a gauntlet and beat some really good teams, and knew we had something special, and lost to a team that we thought we could beat. And sometimes that's playoffs. Sometimes it's that one bounce, that one goal, one save. It's why we all love it. It's why this is the hardest damn trophy in the world to win. With respect to, the Oilers, they've been grinding for years, and I know some of those guys pretty well from back in Toronto, and wish them the best next round.
I mean, nice stuff to talk about a veteran, but also he was in a bad spot a couple years ago.
He wasn't talking about the veteran. I don't know if you listened, but I don't think he was talking about.
Oh, maybe it was a wrong.
No,
I'm sorry. Oh.
No, I think that it was like another quote. We ran one of the one that kind of went viral about just the overall season and what
you could tell the emotion, right? And in that room, they had a team to get it done. And I think after beating Vegas and Colorado, you're like, we could beat anyone. So it's heartbreaking. And part of that is you're looking at a guy like Pavelski who hadn't gotten a cup and how long he's been around and what he means to that team. And so there's guys that you might have another chance, but you think of the guys who won't if Pavelski does go on to retire. And that's what's difficult for the emotions with a team that all love each other. I mean, he said it best. I think he also mentioned in another quote, like, at no point did I think we weren't going to get this thing done. And all of a sudden, boom, like he said, things change in an instant, and it did for the Stars.
I think they have 4 guys over 1,000 games. Suter, I think, leading the way, where all those guys don't have cups, and just a tough sledding, man. You don't know if you're ever going to get even this close again. So definitely a disappointing ending for the Dallas Stars, but nothing to hang your hat on, man, or hang your head down on, because they played their dicks off.
Yeah, I was saying there was a piece from Zeisberger, the writer, about Sagan, how he was in a real bad spot a couple of years ago with all his injuries, and his head wasn't in a good place. He didn't know if he was going to play hockey again. And
he was watching RA at his cottage in Muskoka, and they were watching Stanley Cup playoffs, and Sagan looked over at his buddy. He's like, I don't think I can do this anymore.
Yeah,
and that was it. Yeah, because he'd been dealing with like all these nagging injuries, like some of them
he had hip issues.
Yeah, and thankfully he takes his off ice very seriously. I know he worked with Matty Nickel for a very long time, who's now back in the NHL, and diet, and they're there 6 days a week going the BioSteel camps, or at least at the time doing all that stuff, and as much as Whit, like, when you're dealing with those things, it could be a mental and physical grind. And given, he'd already won a Stanley Cup, he'd play as many games, he'd made as much money as he did, it could be easy to think of the alternative to hang him up. But the fact that he's clawed back, and I thought that from the overall playoffs for them, he was probably one of their top 3 players as far as winning battles like crazy, contributing offensively, making plays. So good for Segs, and it looks like he's got at least 2-3 more years in him still.
Hey, Biz, we just mentioned your fight with Struddy. I believe we have a photo from that occasion. What do you got there, Fishy? Throw it up for us.
There you go, boys. That's me and Struddy going at it. He's like, buddy,
okay, so I was in that game, I'm sure, because me and Struddy were together all the years in Edmonton. Looks like you got the upper hand on him there, Busy.
Yeah, I think that it wasn't like much of one, but I'd say that I probably got the 51-49 win.
Okay.
And hey, that's all I cared about. And then off to the W to get laid.
Biz, that quote you had on the telecast today, where grandma hides the weed brownies.
Where grandma hides the weed brownies, boy. Wayno loved it.
He was dying.
He just
Let's talk about the Cats, though, guys. We got
to move on. We got to move on.
We have to.
G did text me. He said, "Did you have one good Strudwick story that you could tell that you remember, or you got nothing off the top of your dome?"
Let me try to think for when we're in Edmonton and we're with him, and maybe we can get together.
Done.
And I'll have to think. Nothing's coming to mind
Meow.
right now. Besides him just chirping me.
All right, actually, we're going to do another word from our sponsor before we get to Florida. All right, before we go any further, here's a few words from our friends at Dove Men+Care. Dove Men+Care Whole Body Deo gives me odor protection and keeps me smelling good everywhere, all day. It's suitable to use on my whole body, from the pits to the privates to my feet. No more compromise between all-day odor protection and caring for skin anywhere in my body, even my most private parts. The new Dove Men+Care Whole Body Deodorant fits easily into my morning routine. Now I won't go without it. Aluminum-free with a formulation that keeps my skin feeling great. It cares for my skin with a non-irritant formula and is infused with vitamin E. So pick up Dove Men+Care Whole Body Deo at Walmart or Target. All right, boys, now time for the Panthers. They snuffed out the President's Trophy winner New York Rangers with a 2-1 Game 6 victory to return to the Stanley Cup Final for the second year in a row. We actually forgot to mention Corey Perry a few minutes ago went 5 different teams in the Stanley Cup Final. That was the last note. I know it kind of jumping back.
Is that a record?
It's a record, yeah. I had it circled. They got a little distracted. Yeah, 5 different teams. He's been the Stanley Cup, but obviously won it with Anaheim. But we're going to talk about the Panthers, man. They just choked out the Rangers. I mean, Shesterkin was awesome. Probably would have been a sweep without him. What was the most impressive thing of Florida? And, what do you think going forward? What are they got to do different? Anything, basically?
I don't know if they have to do much different. This team is built to win a Stanley Cup. They're exactly what you need in a Stanley Cup winner. They have depth everywhere. They play like complete lunatics. I was actually listening to Frank Zaravelli, who was talking about, he had Zito on his show. I think it was after the first round before the Bruins series. And he kind of asked them, like, for people, I think he said, hey, if there's a fringe fan that hasn't seen much of the Panthers, how would you describe their game? And he said graceful brutality, which is pretty funny. I thought Zaravelli kind of said that Zito was well-spoken in saying that, and that's what they do. And this is by far and away the biggest test for Edmonton. I think Dallas was obviously nothing like Vancouver or LA, but Florida's gone through a gauntlet themselves. Right? I mean, they made easy work of the Lightning, who looked great going into the postseason. They made pretty easy work of the Bruins. They might have given them the toughest test. I know it was 6 there and 6 with the Rangers, but then they get to New York, and without Shesterkin, I don't think it's probably a sweep, RA. I think it is a sweep. That was every single game. Rangers are on their heels, and it's tough not to be when you have a forecheck like the Florida Panthers. They come in waves. Their fourth line's awesome. There's a lot of similarities between Vegas last year and Florida this year, bullying the shit out of teams, having a fourth line that can play 10 to 12 minutes. That while they had Petro, who's a star, I would say that Montour's right up there, and even Forsling maybe might be even their best defenseman. So with Forsling and Ekblad as that top pairing, it's just, and I think Mikkola plays with Montour. Then you got Kulikov on that final pairing with who would I be forgetting on that back end
Ekblad?
right now?
Did you say Ekblad yet?
Yeah,
Mikkola, Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Ekman-Larsson, dude, and how about
awesome.
the
Awesome.
recharge to his career after
Awesome.
getting bought out? He's been an awesome fit in. But the biggest thing for them is Barkov. And no longer can anyone talk about being underrated. This guy has completely shut down the Stars on every other team he's played against. You look at what he did to Kucherov, you look at what he did to Pasta and Marchand, you look at what he did to Panarin and to Benjad, and this is a guy who can produce offensively, but I don't even think in his mind he worries about that. He shuts people down. He's 230 pounds, skates like the wind. He is a guy who plays on all sides of the puck. It doesn't matter. Offensively, power play, defensively, penalty kill, taking big faceoffs. He's their best player, and that's going to be an enormous issue for McDavid and Leon to try to get through this guy, try to get on the right side of him to score goals, and it's really tough to do. But when you look at the forwards, it's not just him. It's Tkachuk, and it's Bennett, and it's fucking Reinhart, and it's just it never stops coming, and that's without even mentioning Carter Verhaeghe, who just scores big goals, game winners, overtime winners. It doesn't matter. Their whole lineup up and down is one thing to talk about, and then they got Bob. And Bob outduels Shesterkin, and really it's not necessarily fair to say he outdueled them because of how dominant Florida was with the puck, but he made all the big saves, and he made all the key saves, and they were down 2-1 in that series, similar to Edmonton, and there was no fret, there was no worry. They just keep coming, and they figured, boom, we'll just rip off 3 straight, just like the Oilers did. So I think that the way they play, it's just intimidating for other teams once series start, because you talk about after the whistle shit, that's where they thrive. They want to bully you. They want to piss you off. They don't mind taking penalties, because we've talked about Edmonton, PK. Who's the second best? It's Florida. I think they have trust in their game to go in, take a hit, take a penalty with a huge hit, because we don't mind. We'll kill it right off. So it's going to be about the anger they play with, how good their crowd is, and how crazy that building seems, and Edmonton trying to be able to figure out, can we beat their depth? We beat Dallas's depth, but you look at Florida's, it's even better. That third line's an issue, Biz.
Yeah, I think you summarized it perfectly. A couple of clicks for Wick. Come up for oxygen, buddy.
Well, I'm watching
shit,
Florida, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
Hey,
this is scary.
They don't have, I don't think, any weaknesses, right? And even you mentioned, like, they got a fourth line. Well, even a few of their scratches can come in and make impacts as good as anyone, right? So I think discipline is going to be a huge factor in this series, because I think that Florida has came in probably with a little bit more of a level head. And I even want to say Paul Maurice has said that they're more even keeled than they were last year. So you obviously don't want to be taking penalties against the Oilers. And same thing if you're the Oilers, you don't want to put, as good as your PK has been, Florida's power play is pretty lethal. And if there is one issue with Edmonton's game defensively, it's where how they don't do a great job of defending when plays are coming out from behind their goal line. Well, Florida can play any way you want, right? You saw that. Even the way that they closed out that Rangers series, like Rangers were fighting for their lives. They didn't even get a sniff for a high danger scoring chance. They couldn't get anything. They were getting owned on the boards. We know they don't give up anything in the guts of the ice. I would say from an advantage standpoint, I would give the advantage to them, Florida, in net. I would say they have a deeper back end, and I would say they're deeper up front too, right? And you talk about that high-end skill that Edmonton has. A guy like Barkov, who is on a mission right now, and he's playing like he is a champion. He's the type of guy that can neutralize that. And talk about who Florida's beat as far as goaltenders. They beat Vasilevsky, they beat Swayman, and then they beat Shesterkin. So Skinner is going to have to play lights out and out of his mind to even give them a sniff at winning this series. I have Florida winning this series in 6 games, right? I think that the smart money is going towards Florida right now. And for the reason that you said, Whit, they feel like this well-oiled machine where they can put any line out there and they feel comfortable. They're exactly like Vegas was last year. They have the home ice advantage. They have a little bit extra rest, and they've been here and they've done that. They were there last year. Last year, getting there was okay.
And they were hurt.
And they were banged up. This year, they're healthy, and their expectation was not only are we going to get there, but we're not done yet. We're going to win the fucking thing. So for that reason, boys, I got Florida in 6. I think it's going to be an incredible series. I'm praying that it goes to 7 games, and I hope it's one of the best Stanley Cup finals that we've ever seen. And I want to say the last time Edmonton went to the final was against Carolina, and it did go 7.
Oh,
They
6.
did
Yep.
go 7. That's why I said I don't think it'll be in 6. Edmonton ain't losing a game 6 at home. They smashed Carolina game 6 in 06. So, Merles, X factor wise, what do you got? What do you got?
Well, I'm just gonna tell you, Biz, on DraftKings right now, Cats and 6 is plus 500. So I don't know if that's the smart money, but I just wanted to wrap up on the Rangers, and their old coach said it in the press conference. They're not committed to it. They don't want to work about it. I had inside sources down, boots on the ground in Fort Lauderdale, telling me that some of the Rangers players had their girlfriends on the trip. They're playing football with her on the beach, and their guys are going over to the beach. Like, that is no commitment to winning the Stanley Cup. So you knew they were done.
Wow.
Yeah. So you knew
So
they were
wait, so
done.
what you're trying to tell me is they are fugazis?
They are complete fugazi. Like, I couldn't believe it when I heard that, and it is 99% confirmed sources. Like, that's just not going to win. Like, I don't even know why they have them stay on the beach when they're down there. If you're down there to try to win a Stanley Cup,
They should be in
Well,
Orlando.
stay near the rink.
They should be in Orlando.
so they're all there. They're at the Ritz-Carlton. They're going across the street, playing in the beach before, like, the day off. So that's just not where you want to be.
So I guess we can agree with Whit that if there's no Shesterkin, it's probably a sweep. Fox
He was incredible in that
incredible.
series.
Fox looked like he'd been playing banged up most of playoffs. I think that the weight of all this is going to be heavily on Panarin, Kreider, and Zibanejad, where Kreider maybe not so much shying away from the physicality, but you saw one of the games. I want to say it was not the closeout game, or maybe it was, where
It was
Zibanejad
game 5 when they bumped him after the goal.
Yeah,
You
and
talking
he,
about that clip?
well, like-
he looked dejected.
well, in middle of the ice before it had even gone in, there's a battle at center ice, and he's like whipping his head back, and he wanted nothing to do with a wall battle. Whereas what you're saying is, if you want a Stanley Cup, that's probably not the core that you want to do it with.
yeah, I don't think they have what it takes at all.
Wow.
Girlfriends on the road during the
Fucking
playoffs.
The girlfriends
I
on the
think
road
that-
thing.
And like,
I
that's
think
fine.
that-
They can come and watch and like put them somewhere else. But I don't think like going over to the beach and hanging out with them is the move during that conference final.
You got the whole summer ahead of you.
Yeah, no shit. Jesus. But I mean,
Wait. Whit's saying something.
Right, but-
Panarin is like undersized, right, a little bit, and he was incredible this season. But I just noticed in the conference final, it was like no time and space. And I texted the Big Chiclets group chat. Watching Florida, there's always 3 Panthers, if not 4, in front of the net. It seems like you never get a chance, like in front. Rebounds, no, they're boxing out, they're pushing you away, and there's never that like complete breakdown against Florida. That's the hardest thing, where I think the Rangers thrive on that, and they're able to make plays in the offensive zone. They have time and space. They had none of that. So Panarin being a little undersized, and Zibanejad looking a little disinterested at times. I mean, he's taken a lot of heat. It didn't look like he had bought all in, like willing to put his entire body on the line to get to the net to get a chance, or to get to the net on the defensive side to break up a play. There was like floating out there. And then for Panarin, I mean, he was just getting eliminated along the wall, right? He's able to dance around the ice so often in Florida. They were like, no, they're looking at the body. They're not looking at the puck. They're taking him away. Once he moves it, they're finishing the hit. And over the course of 6 games, it just seemed like it wore him down. And New York looked great, right? They won game 2. They won game 3. All right, here we go. They go to overtime, game 4. They're totally in it. They win that game. But no, Reinhart buries that one on an amazing power play goal. And then from there, it just seemed like, boom. All right, Panthers, we tied this thing up. We're going to MSG, and then we're coming back. We're ending this thing at home. And it was just a beatdown physically that they've put on every single team. The Rangers were no different, and their big guys didn't answer. You need goaltending, you need special teams, and you need your best players to be your best players. The 2 Cup finalists have all of those things. They've done them all. And the Rangers weren't able to do it in the final round. The power play went cold. The big guys disappeared. And just, I guess if you're throwing around a football with your girlfriend on the beach in the conference finals, you're not going to win. That's what we learned in this one.
Ari, I don't know if you have the point totals this round for Kreider, Panarin, and Zibanejad combined. On the positive side, huge playoff for Trocheck. Earned a ton of respect around the league with the way that he stepped up. I thought that he overall, aside from Shesterkin, he was their best player. I thought that Lafreniere took that next step all season long and then came alive in playoffs. And then the other guy, a guy who faced a lot of criticism during the regular season, was that Barclay Goodrow. And, as playoffs were, I think he ended up finishing with 6 goals. So maybe fans are a little bit concerned on giving him that long contract. I think he's making about 3.5 per year as a depth guy, like a third, fourth liner. But he stepped up in crunch time. So those to me were the positives. And listen, they still got a good, solid team. They could still make a few moves. I'm sure Drury will go back to the drawing board, make those adjustments.
They got cap space too.
They got cap space, and their owner ain't shy to spend money. So it should be interesting to see where the Fugazis go from here. But obviously, the happiest day of the year when the New York Rangers get eliminated, based on how arrogant, ignorant, and stupid their fan base is, especially at the fact that all series long against the Florida Panthers, they were complaining about officiating. Shut
brutal.
the fuck up. The one where the forward was skating towards the defenseman and the defenseman's stick didn't move and he tripped over the guy's stick, and they kept posting it everywhere online, more so than we saw the tits from the girl in Edmonton. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. You guys are getting dominated all over the ice. This has nothing to do with officiating. This has the fact to do with that you are the actual Fugazis. What's up,
Biz, you asked where the Rangers go next. Linda Cohn just tweeted out the potential of Brady Tkachuk possibly getting traded down the line to the New York Rangers. So that's something to think about too.
Last time this was brought up, Senators fans are still coming at me because I heard a rumor that they think I just created out of thin air. I think it would be insane for the Senators to trade that guy, but where there's smoke, there's fire. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but there's obviously rumbling somewhere about Brady Tkachuk getting traded. If he went to the Rangers, holy shit. But if you want to go back to Game 6 and talk about buying in and what it takes to win Stanley Cups, the first goal of the game, which was a minute left in Game 6 by Bennett, incredible shot. The puck gets flipped out, and there's a little bit of a turnover at the red line. And you see Kakko do the big swing, and you see Hedel do the big swing. It's not a stop. It's not a stop and get back. It's a huge circle jerk loop. And so it's actually a little before this. I don't know if we could go a little further back. No worries if not. But before this, it gets turned over. Those guys swing, and boom, 3-on-2. Trouba, who Pasha. I mean,
let's get into
one
this.
of the meanest clips in Chiclets history.
I'd like to chime in on this.
Okay, go ahead.
Listen, I think that Trouba did get running around a little bit. I think he took a lot of heat for that PK goal in overtime, where also Trocheck didn't come down and take that slot guy. So the blame
in Game
4. The blame could go around a little bit. Obviously on that clip he got running around, but for the fact of a videographer coming on a podcast and talking about an NHL player who has played as long as Jacob Trouba, a captain in the National Hockey League. You are a fucking clown, Pasha. You're a worse skater than RA. I've seen you play hockey. For you to have the balls to talk about an NHL player when you're a videographer for the Spittin Chiclets podcast, listen, if we want to get him on right now, let's get him on. But this has to be some form of lifetime ban on the Spittin Chiclets podcast from talking. He could maybe talk on game notes. Maybe he could go. Maybe you guys like that type of chatter over there. But for a guy with the type of
we did it.
On game notes.
The only fucking goal, the only time he scored was in the fucking Arbutus Club third ground parking level. He can't even fucking score in those men's league games at the Arbutus Club. What are you doing? What are you doing? You look like a fool with the JT Miller stuff all season long, and then you're going to come playoff time, and you're going to go at Jacob Trouba and talk about a charity that he has. What are you doing?
Name one thing I said that was false. I even had Rangers fans in the comments saying, I hate Pasha, I hate the Devils, but he's right.
They hate everything, Rangers fans. So if the fact that you're telling me that you're getting validation from these fucking moron Fugazi fans online, you think that that's the fucking nut drop you're going to come on the podcast
Was it
with?
aggressive? Yes. Was it savage? Yes. But name one thing I said that was false.
You think that he should have the captaincy stripped because he's going out there?
Yeah, that was literally Rangers fans are saying he's the worst captain in Rangers history. Like, I can show you all the comments.
Come on.
So you were the Rangers fans. Whose side we taking?
Buddy, I'm telling, I know it was savage, but this is the one take everyone's like, holy fuck, I actually agree with Pasha. All his takes suck. This is the right take. Like, Rangers fans don't like Trouba. They say he sucks on the ice. They don't like his leadership. Again,
I don't
Well,
know if you
messenger.
could question his leadership, man. They've had some good teams, dude. Like he
Good
was
teams
the
that
one
have
who
done
flipped
what?
out
What have they
last year when he
accomplished?
threw the helmet.
What
and
have they
they turned it
accomplished?
all around. I don't. Yeah, he gets running around. The huge hits add a ton of momentum for their team. He gets running around and out of position. But his leadership, I've never heard a bad word about him in the room and being the captain of the team off the ice.
My biggest thing was just like, I think everyone can agree he's the dirtiest, if not one of the dirtiest players. Like his hits aren't hockey plays. He's trying to hurt people. That's not up for
So
for
does
debate.
Sam Bennett. And
No,
we're
no.
fucking on here giving him double
Bennett, when
wristers.
Bennett killed Slavin last year behind the net, that's a clean, good hit. He's
Oh,
not
yeah,
going
how about
ball
the
for-
fucking-
Marchand this year?
How
Yeah,
about the
what about
Marchand
that?
one when he cocked him right
Yeah,
in the
of
fucking
course.
face?
I'm not saying no other player in the league throws elbows and dirty hits, but Trouba's a guy where
He's
literally
hitting
every
to
game
hurt.
you're like, what is this
He's
guy
hitting
doing?
to hurt, just like Marchand said. He goes, "That's what we do come playoff time. Nobody wants to talk about it, but that's what's going on."
Okay,
the same
okay,
reason
so-
he went human torpedo on Natchez in the Carolina series. Maybe
Fair.
that's the reason that they didn't have the fucking ball bag to go to the blue paint.
Fair.
Was because they knew if they did, that Jacob Trouba would make them pay. So to
So let
me,
me-
that adds. The element of fear and intimidation still exists in today's NHL. Ask anybody, if not now more than ever. So
Look
the
at the
fact that
chat
you
right now.
come on
Look at the
here,
chat right now.
you can't
every
even
comment.
fucking score at the
chat.
Arbutus Club in
Look at the
fucking
chat
men's
right
league.
now.
No,
Look
Posh
at the
was
chat
I don't
right
give
now.
a
Posh
fuck
keeps putting
about
it-
the chat.
Own it, Posh. Stop pointing to the fucking fans.
let-
on the
let-
chat.
Let
Own
Pasha
it.
cook. Let Pasha cook.
Yeah,
Let
Posh
Posh
is right.
cook. What is he cooking? Crystal meth for fucking RA?
Let me
Hey,
ask
yo,
you
He's
this.
whoa.
smoking himself.
Let me ask you this. Sure, you know, like Marchand said, you hit to hurt. A lot of guys do it. Can you name a player that does it more than Trouba?
I don't mind the hitting to hurt. I mind the chicken wing.
Okay,
chicken
okay,
wing will,
sure.
like-
Yes. So it's the combination of that with all of a sudden, oh, this guy's a humanitarian, blah, blah, blah. He cares about head trauma, health, blah, blah, blah. It's the contrast and the irony of that I called out. You know what? It's like, like I said, you want to embrace the scumbag role? Sure. But it's the contrast of dirtiest player throwing elbows and all of a sudden this guy's like some humanitarian. Like I said in the clip, that's what I called out. It's the contrast of that.
Have you not seen his paintings? Show some fucking respect.
Painting was a gift, Todd.
I think Posh too. Also, someone pointed out. I think his wife has epilepsy too. I think that's what the comment that said.
That's
So
fine. And I didn't
So-
say one
so
bad
let's
word
clear
about his
things up.
wife.
He never
He
went
didn't
after
say anything
his
bad
wife.
about the wife.
Yeah, that's like that's.
He
throw that
mentioned
away.
what she does. I actually believe she's a doctor, so I think that maybe you
No,
should have
but she
given her
was
a
a
little more
neuroscience
credit.
major. No. I'm not. Yeah, I said the neuroscience major part because that's more specific to the brain, which is what I was talking about. She's, I believe, an ER doctor now. But yeah, like I said, it's just the irony of the whole situation. They parade him around like a Mark Medsay leadership award, but listen, I've talked to guys in the league that were like, yeah, this guy, like your take was on. This guy's the dirtiest player in the league. Like,
You've had NHL players reach out to you.
yes.
How many?
Couple.
Can you
I
read a
believe 'em.
message? Can you read
I
us
believe
one
'em.
message?
They
Not
sent
saying
me
who
the
it was.
They sent me the clip with like what's the praying hands or whatever. Like,
That's not a fucking. Shut the fuck.
The
You're a
emoji?
You're a donkey. You
What?
are such a donkey. Hey,
It's
I
whatever.
will say though, I appreciate you for creating a lot of divisiveness on this podcast throughout the course of this season. I do love you, but I thought you were a little bit off base with the bringing the epilepsy shit into it. I think and even questioning his leadership. So that's how do you feel, RA, Whit? Like, am I off base here?
On game notes, we don't care how many NHL games you played. If you can have an opinion on hockey, you can know the game of hockey. You coming at him because he doesn't know how to skate, that's not allowed. Game notes.
Fucking
Hey,
right,
is
Smurf.
Scotty Bowman the best coach? Is he the best coach of all time? Did he ever even
Well,
play
he
in the
couldn't win a
NHL?
cup with more than one team, though.
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Did Coop?
Game notes, they
Coop,
don't
our
care
best
about
coach,
actual
best coach
facts
in the NHL.
at all.
Who's Mr. TNT? Coop. Who's the best
Yep.
coach in the NHL right now, right?
Fucking
Coop,
right,
did he even
Smurls.
play pro
Preach.
hockey?
Preach.
You don't need the NHL games to know the game and see the game the way it's supposed to be played and have a good take on game.
Oh
notes.
yeah. Okay. So what about his fucking JT Miller take then? Do you want to start
That
there?
was horrible. That was
There you
horrible.
go. Get the fuck off the screen.
because I mean,
Hey, on a
Obviously-
serious note, though, we do love Pasha. He brings a lot to the table.
And
Just
he
not
doesn't give
some
a
good
fuck.
takes.
That's what I think Merles is getting at. Like, I love hearing crazy ass opinions, even if I completely disagree. Getting on and throwing it out there and getting in the mud. That's content, dude. And Pasha really doesn't care. I don't think people realize if you sit and have a drink with Pasha, this dude is opinionated. Some of them are completely ridiculous, but he shoots his shot and doesn't give a shit. And he hates the Rangers with the fire of 1,000 suns. It's almost become like ridiculous.
So want to talk content? Open invite to Jacob Trouba to come on for an interview to say his piece and tell Pasha to fuck off. Also, another content idea, maybe Pasha puts on the gear and we have him take one-on-ones through the middle with Jacob Trouba. I would love to see Jacob Trouba coming in with the chicken wing to get Pasha on the button.
Well, now, and I think I wrote you, Biz, that because Biz was asking me like, "What'd you think of Pasha's take?" I said he's out of his mind, but he threw it out there, and I kind of respect that. And I will say though, like bringing the wife into it, while he didn't say anything bad, he was talking bad about Trouba and mentioned what she does for a living and how it's ironic with his headshots. But by bringing the wife into the clip, I think if Trouba saw him, he's sucker punched him.
He's
and that's probably like legit. Like, hey, hey, Jacob, that's the guy Pasha. Pink, he's sleeping. So that could happen at some point if Pasha sees him. And I don't think anyone bats an eye if it does.
He will not get a one-pod sussy. He will be walking clear just like he did when he did it to Crosby 2 playoffs ago when Pittsburgh should have beat them.
Yeah, it's not like when your buddy gets suckered, you see him get suckered immediately. Everybody like jumps in. You don't even know what
that
happened.
one you're like, you got
this one. Like, yeah, he
had it coming.
We're curb stopping Pasha too.
Everyone has that one buddy.
Hey, can I get one of those paintings?
Suckered, you're like, oh, he definitely deserved it. It's like Pasha's sleeping on the corner in Hoboken. We're like, oh, he finally got it.
I think that Pasha might be the most hated man on the internet right now in the hockey world. How many numbers did that clip do that we posted?
I will, Biz. Most of the comments actually agree. He is right about that. Usually, like the comments will bury you. There was like a lot of agreement with him. I couldn't believe it. I thought he was going to get murdered.
Let's put up a poll then.
I'd say social media was overwhelmingly on Pasha's side. The chat, social media, comments, DMs, everything.
We're a players
put up
pod
a poll right now. Most hated man, like on the pod, I guess. Pasha's got to be there. He's got to be up top.
I would say, did you agree with Pasha's take and then get a vote going? No?
Okay.
Just to make it a little bit more concise and clear, but we can move on from Pasha and his horrible takes and his.
Just last thing, Biz. I mean, he's entitled to his opinion, whether we agree or not. He didn't say anything about the wife. I think just bringing her in, or when people bring kids in, I get why people do get pissy about that. But as far as people coming at me and the rest of you guys about fucking yelling at us for Pasha's opinion, go fuck yourself, guy. I'm not here to defend Pasha or admonish him or whatever. Like, he has his opinion. Like, I'm not going to sit here and defend it one way or the other. People are coming at us like, oh, it's on your show. It's like, well, first off, Game Notes is Burl's Anatomy show, not mine.
That's true.
Second, like, who gives a fuck? We don't cancel people. We let people say what they want, and fucking, I'm not apologizing for him. I'm not gonna make fucking amends for him. That's Pasha's road to hoe.
It's slowly becoming evident that Game Notes are the true lunatics. They're the animals on.
They're the drama. They're the drama queens. They started Pussygate. There was no Pussygate unless Game Notes came up with it. And all of a sudden, I got fucking people from Saginaw calling me saying I got the story wrong, this and that. We'll get to the Memorial Cup a little bit later, but I just thought we had to address the last bit of the Rangers nonsense. And
so
I think that wraps everything up.
I think going into the finals, that line matchups are going to be huge. And I think you've seen over the course of history being able to get out guys that you want against stars or third line against third line. But it seems to me that this is going to be enormous. The home team obviously has the last change. We won't know who Paul Maurice wants out against McDavid and against Leon's line. Like, you'd think it would be the top lines. You think it'll be Barkov against McDavid. That makes a ton of sense. But then you look, does he want that third line of Lundell, Luosterainen, and Tarasenko against Leon? Or does he want Bennett, Tkachuk, and Rodriguez? I'm wondering where he leans against the Leon line. The top lines are the top lines. That makes total sense. And then you got Ekblad and Forsling against McDavid. But after that, that's where Leon presents a problem, because as good as Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett are, they're not Leon Draisaitl. Okay, so I'm wondering.
I will just say though, Whit, I don't think Draisaitl has looked high-end Draisaitl yet this playoffs. There maybe been a few.
Oh,
games.
No. The beginning he did. Dallas he didn't, but the beginning he did.
Okay, I thought that there were some games against Vancouver. He was unnoticeable. Went pointless. Against Dallas, 4 points. Yes, against LA, everybody had a fucking playoff round because they were fucking snapping around 50% on the power play. but Leon needs to step it up in this Stanley Cup Final. That is going to be a big component. He has to be better than he was against Dallas, and Florida is a way better team than Dallas was. I got two X factors for the Edmonton Oilers: Evander Kane and Darnell Nurse. That has to be the best hockey they've ever played in their entire lives. We need to see Evander Kane from 2 years ago. It was actually 13 playoff goals he scored, and he needs to bring Darnell Nurse that nastiness he had in Game 4. He needs to be looking at double digits in hits every game. He can't get beat by anyone to the blue paint. He's got to be boxing out like a madman. And Merle, he needs to be simplifying his game to the point where he does have a bark collar on, where if he even thinks about making a play up the middle or snapping over a saucer pass,
he needs to be, and I'm not comparing him to these guys, but when you think about the meanness in the history of Stanley Cup champion defensemen, Pronger, Scott Stevens, mean, furious, a prick, nasty stick. That needs to be Nurse. And you saw it come out at the end of the Dallas series, the 12 hits in Game 4. That's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to match the meanness and the brutality of Florida. That's what Nurse is going to do. My X factor is Skinner. My X factor is Skinner. Because you got Bobrovsky. I think it's fair to say that after these 2 cup runs or playoff runs, Bobrovsky's bringing it. You know what you're going to get out of him. If Skinner can do what he did against Dallas, this thing is game on, going 7 games. If he's not, if he's the Skinner that got pulled against Vancouver, it could be over quick. Skinner is the real X factor for me in this series.
Yeah, and the 2 games this season, Florida won both of them 5-3 and 5-1. But Skinner didn't play either game. Pickett played both of those games, so there's no head-to-head competition between Bob and Stu. As for the odds, Florida is -130 to win the series. Edmonton +110. Game 1 odds, Florida -135. Edmonton +115. We mentioned the penalty kill in both teams has been stellar so far. Edmonton first overall, Florida second overall. But Merles, let's go to you for your prediction. And what do you got for us, buddy?
Yeah, first of all, when we're talking about these goalies and the save percentage, those are no longer a relative stat because these NHL stat keepers are refusing to count the shots on net correctly.
Are we getting more issues with this?
Yeah, the shot sheriff, Army called me the shot sheriff. It's an official title I'm taking now. So both these goalies, I don't care about their save percentages anymore. I want saves. I want goals. I was never an Oiler, but I'm still an Oiler. I had them last round. The main reason, the X factor of why I'm on Oilers in 6 is our Prez, Dave. All he does is win $1 million bets right now. He has the Oilers to win. He'll win $1.2 million. This guy, all he does is win. The Oilers win. You already talked about it. The Legends win. I was thinking about it. I was like Mount Rushmore of hockey. We talked about one time. There's not a Mount Rushmore. It has to be like the 7 wonders of the NHL. All those guys have won Stanley Cups. McDavid's next in line. Who knows if he ever gets back here? He's not going to be denied. Oilers in Edmonton in 6. We're going to meet after this. I'm trying to figure out a way for us to be boots on the ground in Edmonton in 6.
Well, and Dave Portnoy, yeah, the winner. The guy's winning millions of dollars. I believe he has the Celtics for $1.5 million. He has the Oilers for $1.2 million. If he wins them both, he'd be at $7.5 million in 2024 in gambling winnings. He's probably still down 40
in the last 4 months.
That. But he apparently has told me, or not apparently, he did tell me he can go to Game 4 in Edmonton. So I don't know if that changes our plans. If he's willing to finance Chiclets Air, that would make an enormous difference for us making this amazing trek. Before I give my prediction, guys, what are your thoughts on a non-traditional hockey market in Florida, but an incredibly entertaining team against McDavid, the face of the league? I think the ratings are going to be huge.
Oh, yeah. Series. I mean, the ratings for the Dallas-Edmonton series were like 1.8 million average, like in some cases over 2. I think we'll probably in the States get to like 3.5 million.
And then Canada, it's going to be half of the country watching.
I would assume that people are going to, I would bet you that they're averaging 8 to 10 million.
Biz, do you think as a Canadian that a higher percentage of the country's rooting for the Oilers to get the cup back in Canada? Or do you think fan bases of all the other Canadian teams don't want Edmonton to win? Like, I don't think a Calgary Flames fan wants Edmonton to win.
I would say that a low percentage of them, But I would say overall, from a Canadian just hockey fan perspective, I think that most of them would want to see the cup come back to Canada. And like your team's not going to win it. So if you're like not as like a maybe like all the hardcore people who follow certain fan bases won't, but if you're like oh yeah, I love Vancouver, but I'd love to see McDavid win a championship. Yeah, I would say half of the fan base's fans would be okay with Canada bringing it home and McDavid winning.
So the diehard fans are like, no, especially
they don't give a
Calgary.
Fuck.
But the fringe hockey fans who are just watching Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night having beers, they're like, let's go Oilers.
Well, they'd probably also rather see Oilers win it than like Florida, considering Florida probably played them and beat the shit out of their team, right? So there's a lot of people probably wanting Edmonton over Florida just based on how they play and how they fucking just make everybody their bitches.
Did you see that Hyman quote when he said, "Oh, I don't think Toronto's going to be rooting for us"? I thought that was pretty funny.
Shout out Toronto for not signing him.
Any additional pressure knowing you're Canada's team now?
Well, I don't know if Toronto's cheering for us, but it's nice your Ottawa is. Listen, I mean, hockey, I mean.
That nice little troll job, I thought, right there.
Oh,
did you see this? The top 4 picks of the 2014 draft all playing this cup. Pretty wild. Ekblad, Reinhart, Draisaitl, and Bennett, man. The odds of that happening pretty wild. Also, Edmonton, the third team to reach the Stanley Cup Final after being 10-plus points out of a playoff spot during the regular season. The 2019 Blues obviously won that Stanley Cup, and then the 59 Leafs, they lost that Stanley Cup. It's also the fifth.
Leafs lost. Shocker.
Yeah, even in the 50s. Fifth straight Stanley Cup Final that 2 teams are meeting in the postseason for the first time ever, and it's also the NHL's 67th unique Stanley Cup Final. Some weird stats there.
What do you mean unique? What does that mean?
Like the first time these 2 teams have ever met in the Stanley Cup Final as well.
Hey, so how about they were digging up the stats for least amount of shots in a playoff game, and of course the Leafs hold the record with 6. So I was like, Jesus Christ, just take.
I think the Oilers they set a record last night for the biggest shot differential to win like in a conference championship clinching game. It was, I think, what were they, -25 last night?
Yeah,
35
that's
to
crazy.
10?
Yeah, worst shot
nuts.
differential by a winning team in a conference final clincher. 35 shots to 10, -25.
And we've already said it. And by the way, some people who are already chiming in on voting for the Pasha thing, some people haven't heard what he said because it was on Game Notes and it was posted to the internet. Should we just play the clip and have Fish bring it up so they can hear this idiot talk about Trouba and what everything happened? Should we just circle back so they can hear it?
No, they should all go subscribe and click on Game Notes and download it and all that.
Well, I mean, it's the same. Yeah, I love it. They could do that too.
5-star review.
But I don't know. Is there anything else that we needed to talk about?
As far as the playoffs or the rest of
I'm giving my Edmonton pick. I got Edmonton at 7. I think they win the
7.
Stanley Cup on the road. I had them in 6 because I knew we wouldn't be able to beat DeBoer in Game 7, but I'm going 7. And I think it's going to take a long, hard-fought series, but they get it done with an amazing Game 7 on the road with a couple power play goals and McDavid getting the game winner to lift his Stanley Cup.
Oh, OT game winner for McDavid.
Never been a Game 7 overtime in the Stanley Cup Final. Maybe this is the year.
Shit.
Yeah, wild.
No shit. Boys,
can you imagine that? Imagine watching that.
Yeah, I got Florida in 6. I'm the
Florida
man,
6 with Edmonton in 7. Merle's Edmonton in 6. What's our producer, Mikey Grinelli? What do you got for us, big guy?
I just can't see a world where Florida loses the cup in back-to-back years. But Merle said it on the day the Edmonton Oilers lost to the San Jose Sharks. This team's going to win the cup now. So I'm not going against Win. I'm not going against Dave. I'm a smarter man than that. I've got Oil in 7.
Woo!
Wow. Edmonton. Wow.
RA's going to pick Panthers in 5. I guarantee it.
Close. No, I got Florida in 6. I don't think home road doesn't matter with this team. They win wherever they got to go. They got the experience last year. Look, I've been saying Whit on the show since McDavid's been in the league. There's nothing more I want to see him in the Stanley Cup Final. I mean, you want to see the best at the highest level. But I just think Florida, they've just been steamrolling. I think they're, like we said already, a well-oiled machine. I think they have an advantage in goaltending. And then, they're just deeper overall. I think they're a little bit tougher as well. So, I'm going Florida at 6, Sorry, Edmonton. I mean, if McDavid wins, I'll be very happy for Edmonton and the fans there. I just think Florida's built a little bit tougher right now at this stage.
Army's on Florida in 6 as well. He wanted me to pass that along for the bookkeeping. I don't know if Posh is still there and Meamsy. Are they on this? They can give their
Pasha's got his buddy Reinhardt on the team. He'll probably pick him to sweep.
Pasha's the leader right now. You and him are 11-3 and picking the series during the playoffs.
You mentioned Army. Why don't we just bring him in right now to give his own little prediction?
Nice.
Yeah, the underdog. He'll have something
There
we
he
forgot.
is.
What up, dog?
Our Army was showering the other night at 7 a.m. after crushing tequilas.
Oh, I got a little too deep into the tequila. Yeah, it was a hell of a road trip, boys. I'm glad I survived. I don't know if I'm going to make it through the Chiclets Stanley Cup thing, but
If Merles
I don't
could
know,
do it
Merles.
last year in Vegas
I
and
know.
Lauderdale, you could do it.
That's what I'm just picturing. Merle's the Vegas in 5 in the airport as he was leaving. Greatest video maybe in Chiclets history.
I gotta retweet that. I think.
Yeah,
Great.
but what a couple conference finals. Two teams that deserve to be there, boys. Great show so far. I listened to you. I was flying home. I just got home a little bit ago, so rush down here, set up. What a rush, and it's not over. They're stretching this finals out. It's going to be all the entire month of June. We get to stretch every game out all the way through June, boys. Let's go. Stanley Cup.
What's your prediction, Merle's Army? What do you got for us, buddy?
Oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Panthers in 6. I want Edmonton to win. I like Cup to Canada sounds great. Legacy of McDavid, and guys supposed to do that for their cities. They're these kind of players. I've seen it, and we've seen it time again. We get to hang out with Wayno over the last 10 days, Wayne Gretzky, and he's like that guy that was supposed to win cups. He did with his greatness. So I want to see that, but just looking at both the teams, I don't know, like it's styles make fights, boys. And I was wrong. I thought Vancouver would get steamrolled by Edmonton, went to 7, Edmonton better, but still went to 7. So I don't know. I've been wrong. I don't know how these teams are going to match. I thought Dallas was going to beat Edmonton. So, but just saying that, Florida in 6.
Okay. All right. Thanks for jumping on with us, buddy. Any other final thoughts on the playoffs? Anything else you want to share with us?
The data cast was great, man. Did you have a good time doing that? Any fun things that you'd learned that you didn't know about all the analytics beforehand? Do you have a newfound respect for analytics?
Yeah, I would say I learned a lot personally just because of that. Like Mike Kelly was an absolute wizard at that stuff, and like he's so good at explaining it where I think it connects or hits with people the right way as far as pulling people in that might otherwise not, be into that stuff. So he does a really good job, and he was great with me. A good teammate with Steve Mears as well. But I just analyzing and looking at the things that matter. Like I even asked Mike Kelly, like, what's the one that matters the most? And it's like, shot value, like the value of a chance, and kind of how you can get those numbers up. And now you can see it in the game too, right? The grade A shot isn't the grade A shot anymore. It's to Leon in the corner for that other shot to get the goaltender moving. So it was really cool tracking and following all that stuff. And it was so cool too on our thing with the shift times, who was out there, and kind of following the ebbs and flows of games inside of all those numbers as well. So it made for a fun way to cover the series.
Like Army, like for instance, like on the play where McDavid stripped Tanev, right? Where Tanev wasn't able to get that 200-foot clear before the second goal that they scored. It showed that Lindell had been on the ice for over well over a minute. I think, yeah, like he was on the ice for at least close to a minute and a half, right? So because of him stripping them, he'd hem them in, so they weren't able to change. So it helps you understand a little bit more about the game, as well as about the 5 men connected for the Oilers and how they weren't giving up odd man rushes. Then all of a sudden it'll tell you 13-1. I think it was in game 5 that Edmonton had more odd man rushes than the Dallas Stars. 13-1. A team that when John Michael Lyles came on said barely gave up any to the Colorado Avalanche. So just like these drastic swings and explaining it through the numbers was a pretty cool thing, and how it tracks it all.
And we actually last night too, we finally got like a little pie chart put on the offensive zones for teams where you could see where shots were coming from and high danger area and flank shot areas. And then they were able to mirror opportunities on the ice with little dots where they were getting their shots from, like Dallas in games 4, game 5 had 3 grade A scoring chances from the slot, 3 in each game.
Even last night having 35 shots, it didn't seem like there was that many crazy chances last night.
Third period, they were all right, but before that, given the shot differential, it wasn't. It was
like a Carolina shot differential.
Bingo.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so cool too to track because we were tracking like flip outs and stuff. I heard you guys talking when I was watching on the plane about like Dallas flipping the pucks out. How about Struddy? What a beauty, hey! Just giving it to Whit. Oh my God! I was dying.
He's a regular.
Oh my God!
We might make him a regular member of the pod.
Struddy, what a legend. But it was cool tracking the flip outs that Dallas was trying with the stretch guys trying to back the D out. That was earlier in the series a little bit, and then it was like, boys, like honestly, Game 4 after that first period, horrific meltdown by Dallas the rest of the game, right? That was Game 4 in the first period, if my memory's right, where they were down 2-0, came back, and they scored 8 goals consecutively in 2 games. So they figured it out, man. That's why it's a 7-game series. I mean, it's crazy to watch. What you think might happen, might not, with the way teams prepare, adjust. What's that guy always say, Merles, in Denver?
Denver, manage, adjust, win. That's what Edmonton's been doing. Where Florida just does the same thing. They just go another way. They're just like, we're going to just keep doing this. Eventually, you're going to quit.
Yeah. They dominate everyone.
Yeah.
All right, boys. We got a little. Oh, sorry. I mean, a little news to get to. But before we do that, we have a word from our sponsor. This game review segment is presented by ESPN. ABC and ESPN Plus are the home of the Stanley Cup Final. Ooh, gang. Cannot wait. We got to wait, 5-6 more days. Saturday night, 8 o'clock on ABC and ESPN Plus. Edmonton visits Florida for Game 1. Cannot wait. I think the boys might be down at Game 2, possibly Game 3 at Edmonton. We're still hammering out the details. But either way, every single game of the Stanley Cup Final this year is going to be on ABC and ESPN Plus as well. You can't beat it. So you can watch on Stanley Cup playoffs on ESPN, ABC, and ESPN Plus. Enjoy the games.
Hey, before we get going here, RA, we're going to roll the Pasha clip, and then we can get the chat going, and we can get everybody's opinion on the panel here, whether it was a W take or it was an L take. So why don't we roll it now?
Bigger hypocritical scumbag in the league than Jacob Trouba. First of all, he sucks at hockey. When he's in the defensive zone, he runs around like a lost puppy. He just sees the puck and he chases it. If he didn't have the C in that contract, he wouldn't be playing. If I was Laviolette, I would rip the C off his chest and stick it on Vinny Trocheck right now because he is the heart and soul of that team. If the Rangers fans knew anything about hockey, they should have been praying he got suspended for that Rodriguez hit just to get him out of the lineup. He's that bad. And then you look at him, Reinhart punches him in the face at the end of not last game, the game before. He goes and cries to the ref immediately. Like that's not like a little taste of his own medicine, and then he can't handle that. And then you talk about this Messier Leadership Award.
Oh, I was going to ask.
Leadership on the ice by being a complete liability and taking penalties. After his minor last night, Trouba has taken 11 penalties this postseason. The next player with as many has 8. One of the reasons in the article that he won it, it says, Trouba and his wife founded the Trouba Creative Expression Arts Program, which offers art services to adults with epilepsy and seizures. Well, you want to know the irony of this situation? Trouba's wife is a neuroscience major. Maybe Jacob should go home and get a lesson from his wife about the dangers of concussions that can lead to epilepsy and seizures before he goes around concussing guys on a daily basis, being the dirtiest player in the league. It's insane, the irony. It's like, okay, you want to embrace the scumbag role? Fine. But the fact that they're parading him around as some sort of humanitarian is a joke. Like his agent or PR person should get a major raise for that.
Whit, we'll start with you. Some people in the chat saying, let it go. Shut the fuck up. We're running the show around here. You just fucking worry about chiming in the chat. We're not like
start a podcast, Chad. Nobody will listen to it.
Hey,
if they do, you can talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about.
Say it to my face.
As
just
Pasha
like Pasha
was
wouldn't say it to
discussing in the
Troubas.
beginning about running around and being maybe a liability in his own end, I'm like, all right, he's making some good points. And he did not say a bad word about his wife, but when he brought up like the epilepsy and that, I was like, whoa, where's this guy going? So I think it ended up being a W take because he did have some correct points on his status and his game management as a defenseman and a leader. But bringing the wife into it, I don't know. I couldn't get down with that.
Hey,
I know he didn't
was reading
his wife.
Do you think he was reading a teleprompter? It was pretty like.
No, I think he's that deranged and he hates the Rangers. he was like in the middle of the night, like doing that in the mirror. He was like memorized it.
Yeah, it was like
M&M
pretty.
on.
Pasha's going to point to the
arms are
pole.
heavy. Mom spaghetti. Just,
Vomit on my sweater already.
well, at least he's leading the way. And
Look at this.
There is some bag lickers in the chat that love Pasha, and they want me replaced on the podcast for Pasha. So there you go. I'll be editing the Sandbaggers from now on, and Pasha will be giving you his Devils bag licking tape. By the way, Pasha said that the Devils were going to make playoffs, and if they didn't this year, he'd be getting a tattoo of
And
my
he's
name
not
on
doing
his
it.
ass.
And this is the guy who chirped Avery, not Sean Avery, the other Avery, for not jumping in the Hudson River after the Devils beat the Rangers. He was all over him for not living up to his bet, and then doesn't live up to his lost bet. So interesting times considering Biz. I was going to get an earring, and then you got your head shaved. So we lived up to our end of the bargain, although you didn't cut your foreskin
I got
off.
a pie in the face from fucking Bowie, and the aluminum scratched my forehead. I thought I had hepatitis from that fucking deranged.
Trouba,
I had to
Trouba's
ride
an
a
artist.
bike around New York City in full hockey equipment to fulfill my bet.
Hey, you know what? How about the idiot Pasha fans in the chat who are saying I'm on my period? How about you guys think of a punishment for Pasha to live
Jacob
up to?
Trouba is an artist, right? He does painting.
Yes.
He should do the tattoo.
Oh,
no, maybe he should stop painting and focus on trying to win a hockey
I
game.
think if he had a needle near Pasha, it'd go right in his jugular.
right in his fucking eyeball. Maybe Pasha should have to get a tattoo of one of Trouba's paintings.
That's good.
Now we're talking.
That's
Now
good.
you idiot Pasha supporters in the chat couldn't think of that one. Dummies. I actually like getting into it. I wish we could bring people on this podcast live from
That's
the chat.
why Spaces is so good. That's why I love Spaces.
I want to
click
see
on
these.
people.
I want to see these mutant faces when they come on here and they're like, oh, and they get all jammed up because they don't have the balls to say what they did in the chat to our faces. Just like Pasha wouldn't say it to Trouba's.
Send one of these goons the link.
Ask him, Pasha, come on here. Would you say what you said on game notes to Trouba's face?
Yes, I would, because again, like I said, I would. I would. Well, you'll see next time we're at one of these events, awards, I'll say it to his face, because again, it's like you suck at hockey thing. Sure, you can say it to anyone, but this guy's literally going out trying to hurt people. And how many lives has he, not saying ruined, but like put people in bad situations by being a dirty player, elbows to the head. Listen, this guy's a scumbag.
This is coming from a guy who roots for the New Jersey Devils. Have you ever heard of Scott Stevens?
Those were clean hits.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we go.
This is how deranged this guy is. So we're not dealing with a normal human. He's a hockey fan lunatic.
I was saying on that clip, boys, there should have been a disclaimer at the start of it, like, disclaimer, like, warning, this is from a complete lunatic New Jersey Devils fan. Do not believe or trust anything he says. Chiclets does not support or like one of those.
Like, I am not a financial advisor.
Every time Pasha comes on game notes, we're gonna have to do that now.
I think everybody knows I'm a deranged Devils fan by now. I've had enough outrageous takes.
We're putting every time you post one of those clips, put the disclaimer on there. That's a genius idea, Army. It's like Portnoy saying, "Don't take stock advice from me." You're the AMC stock right now. Fucking idiot.
Isn't that climbing though?
Yeah.
You
You guys at Game Notes are like pro chat. I'm anti-chat. I like I like going at the fuckers in the chat.
And Witz likes doing the diary sessions on the spaces. He's unbelievable at it.
Oh yeah, you love
unbelievable.
But speaking of that Mark Messier award, like, why are we handing out all these awards? I thought we were having the award show in Vegas before the draft at the Sphere.
I think just like the major ones.
Yeah, they're only doing a few there. They've been doing them on ESPN broadcast. Actually, we're going to get to a couple of those in a second. I just want to go back.
The winner has to take.
I had it already. I was lining you up with the segue.
The
I know,
winner
but
of the Mark Messier Award has to take shrooms with Mess after the show, and they have to stay there for the Fish concert. Have you heard Mess talking about how he likes diving into the shroomies?
Yeah, he took them like way back in the day too. Biz, like this wasn't like recently. Like I think like back in the 80s or 90s, he was doing that stuff when it was still a like taboo type of thing.
Yeah, he was on the playoff runs, just tripping out, making saucer passes with fucking UFOs out there, just buzzing around.
The dancing bears. Oh, my buddy
had to guarantee win against Game 6 Devils. He was like, "Oh shit, I said that."
Well, I was a little fucked up in the pregame skate. I hadn't even slept yet.
Good
I
thing
didn't
I got
say
a hat
that.
trick.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, actually, my cousin went to the Dead and Company show at the Sphere. He said the fucking place is absolutely incredible. He's not even like a Dead fan. He went to the show because he was in Vegas. He said it was absolutely amazing.
I'm still interested to see how they're gonna make the draft Sphere like
exactly. Yeah,
I don't know what they're gonna do. Hopefully, they have some great ideas. I mean, I'll be interested to see if we're even let in there. Dolan owns the thing. I mean, imagine what he thinks.
He's gonna be playing Trouba clips.
Steak.
You're gonna be putting Trouba clips, just flying elbows.
Somehow everyone in the crowd gets a concussion. That's how real the Sphere is.
Hey, Mess. Hey, Mess, you just won the cup. Why are you still wearing your helmet? He's like, I'm not wearing a helmet.
Hey, by the way, in other hockey news, Pussygate, Saginaw, they end up winning the Memorial Cup. And is it true? Because I haven't seen. Did Sim get kicked out of the game for London?
He gave her the old Trouba train. He got the 5-minute major. They scored, I think, the third goal on that power. Maybe it was a second goal. But yeah, they took advantage of it and they blew the lead. They were up 3-0. Saginaw scored 3, and then London stormed right back. London didn't play well. They didn't get many shots. And then you put so Hache, the kid who was behind Pussygate, where it was being blamed that he ratted the kid out for saying the word pussy to the official. He's the captain of the Saginaw Spirit. So play his post-game clip if you guys have it.
We can't use that. It's TSN. They don't give us the rights to that.
What did he bring up Pussygate?
Oh yeah, he basically said, he goes, just like all the fake stories, all the lying that went on. So he's
the tweets. He called out the tweets in particular too.
Wow, he's sticking by it. He's a Memorial Cup champ. What's crazy? So London waxed them in the OHL final, and then they beat him in the round robin game, right? And it's that hard to beat a team that many times for London, I guess.
Yeah, they beat them
4-2. They were waxings. Like they were all. It was like I think a 6-game series in the OHL, and the other.
Oh, so London beat somebody else like 9-0 every game.
They
right?
went to,
that wasn't.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, in the finals. That was the semifinals of the OHL.
Oh.
And then obviously Saginaw, being the host, got the advancement to the automatically going to the Mem Cup. But yeah, I think who did they end up? I don't know who they played in the final, but it was 4 straight. Landon Sim he wasn't allowed to play in the final, didn't get to hoist the cup as a player playing in the game. And then sure enough, he ends up taking the 5 minutes, any game misconduct. He got the gate. So congrats to Saginaw. They bought the team, I want to say in the year 2000 from North Bay. It moved there. Dick Garber and Craig Goslin have been part of the organization since it began there. And finally they get their Mem Cup. So a huge win for the Saginaw Spirit. And hey, London's got enough of them. We can't see them winning every year. So congrats to the Spirit and a well-played series.
Just the 4th U.S.-based team to win it in the first since 08 when Spokane won it, and the first U.S.-based OHL team to win the Memorial Cup as well. And anyone who still has a beef with the Pussygate story, once again, it was written by Ken Campbell at the Hockey News. So directly anger
but plenty
are you trying to finagle your way out of us being involved in Pussygate story?
Well, we reported what was we
reported more than that.
Taking it to the moon.
There's been numerous people that have reached out with different like aligning with what Landon Sim and London has said, and there's been people who have lined up with what Saginaw is saying. So the truth is somewhere in the middle, and we'll never know it. But at the end of the day, Saginaw has won Pussygate, and it's over, signed, sealed, and delivered.
True that. And we can move along on that note. Merles, you just mentioned awards. Jacob Slavin won the Lady Byng Trophy for the second time. He had 37 points in just 8 penalty minutes in 81 games in his 9 NHL seasons. He's had more than 12 penalty minutes just once and fewer than 10 penalty minutes just 4 times. I mean, that's incredible to play that much hockey and get so few penalties. But I don't know. It's the reason why he's won the Lady Byng twice. Anders Lee of the New York Islanders won the King Clancy Memorial Trophy, goes to the player who best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice and has made a noteworthy humanitarian contribution in his community. And this one was a couple weeks ago, slipped by us. Arizona goalie Connor Ingram won the Masterton Trophy for perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication. He had to leave the game for a while with an OCD condition, but great to see him back. He had a great year last year for the Yotes. A couple coaching notes as well. The Canucks parted ways with assistant coach Mike Yeo. He's reportedly interviewed with Ottawa head coach Travis Green already to potentially get an assistant gig up there. Minnesota parted ways with assistant coach Darby Hendrickson. He was with the Wild for 14 seasons. He was an assistant to 6 of the 7 wild coaches in team history.
Wow.
And he played for the 7th one, Jacques Lemaire, way back in the day. And Russo and Smith, our buddy Russo and Smith piece in The Athletic mentioned Derek Stepan as a potential replacement as well. So a little bit of
already in the mix for Step. He loves
he
the
seemed
game.
like a guy. Remember we talked to him and he was already seeming like he'd want to be one of those coaches after he played. And everyone who played with him mentioned he was kind of already a coach when he was still playing.
Yeah, I thought maybe even management, but I think that's a great spot for him because he was a good mentor, especially in the later years. I think he finished in Carolina, and he was great there. Guys loved him. I even think that Jarvis said that he was a big part of his development. So good to have those leaders, and good for him. Hopefully he steps in there, and I think he's going to be great at it.
All right, who was second in Lady Bing votes, or like who was there?
Matthews and Pedersen were the other two. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think
I was just wondering if it was Kopitar because remember we had Kopitar on TNT post game and he got punted out of the game, taking a 10-minute misconduct. And he's like, "Oh, might hurt my chances of getting a Lady Bing." Can you imagine if he said that in the post game interview? Can you imagine if he was second place?
Yeah, that could probably do it.
Shit. All right, boys, we got a couple more notes here, but first we do have a word from our sponsor.
All right, guys, before we go any farther, I want to talk to you about our good friends at Keeps. Spittin Chiclets is sponsored by Keeps. Keeps is all about confidence. If your hair has always been a part of who you are, like me, and it's something you want to keep around, Keeps can help. Hair or no hair, we think you should be the one to decide. With a full suite of products designed to regrow hair, maintain your hairline, or just cover bald spots, Keeps offers hair thickening shampoo, conditioner, and styling pomade. These products work together to complement your treatment plan and enhance results by making thinning hair look thicker using a special formula designed by hair loss experts. They support healthy hair growth with natural, science-backed ingredients like biotin, caffeine, green tea, and saw palmetto. I can't suggest Keeps enough. Like I said, my hair is a part of me. You think hair, you think Granelli. I wish that was the case, but that's not really true. But long story short, I love my hair. If I ever lose my hair, I don't know what I would do. That's why I use Keeps. Thanks for Keeps for sponsoring this podcast. Hair loss stops with Keeps. For a special offer to get started, go to keeps.com/chiclets. That's KEEPS.com/chiclets. Results may vary, not offered in every state. Medications prescribed only if clinically appropriate. Consultation required.
All right, boys, I just want to jump back to that Brady Tkachuk thing we were talking about a little while ago. I don't know if there's necessary smoke there. General Manager Steve Staios came out yesterday. He said the trade rumors are complete BS. We're building the team around Brady Tkachuk and the type of person, the type of player, and the type of leader that he is. He means everything to the organization. He brings it every night, along with our core group of players. And as far as Linda Cohn, I mean, I think that was just an opinion tweet. Let's talk addition by subtraction for the Rangers. Hope GM Chris Drury is good at math and creativity because he needs to find a way to wow Ottawa and make Brady Tkachuk a blue shirt. If that means saying goodbye to several fan faves, so be it. So I think that was just Linda's opinion. I'm not, coming at her or anything.
Granelli's been banging the drum. Yeah. I said the rumor one time I heard, and then Granelli nonstop talks about it. So that's on
He
him.
loves the rumor boys, though. That's his thing.
Yeah,
he likes bringing up the rumor mill.
The game notes.
I don't give a fuck what Steve Staios says. Brady Tkachuk will be playing for the New Jersey
great. Now we're going after
either
Staios.
Next year or the year after.
Right.
Well, we'll see, Brady.
Anything you say about his wife?
We'll get the insights.
Christ's sake.
Oh, my own. All right,
somebody in the chat said that there's maybe some Natchez rumblings. Has anything happened on those fronts? I know that there was rumors or a lot of want maybe in Boston for him. Is there any Natchez movement or no?
I think it's just speculation.
All
I mean, he's RFA, and RFAs, we know they don't tend to switch teams all that often. I know he's past his buddy, and they're from the same country, but I don't think there's much to it. Believe me, I'd love to see him here, Biz, but I'd be shocked if it happens. Actually, we're going to bring G right back on. Matthews Arena, where Northeastern's been playing for Christ forever. They're going to close after 114 years. Northeastern looking to replace the iconic venue with a new multi-purpose athletic facility. This arena opened as Boston Arena back in 1910. It's the world's oldest multi-purpose athletic building, and it has the world's oldest artificial ice sheet. It's definitely a bummer, but it is 114 years old. Gee, it's sad to see it go, but it's probably time, no?
Yeah, so we actually went and filmed at Chiclets University there. It never released. I didn't think it would be fair to them to sandwich it in between, Penn State and North Dakota with this, 114-year-old facility. But this place is so crazy after going there and learning, JFK did debates there. Theodore Roosevelt was there. Muhammad Ali trained there. Rocky Marciano fought there. The Bruins played their first game there. The Celtics played their first game there. The Carolina Hurricanes played their first game there when they were the New England Whalers in the WHA. It's crazy how much history has been at this place. It sucks, but it's also great for Northeastern. A 290,000 square foot hockey facility in downtown Boston is going to be great for recruiting. I don't think it's going to be anything, crazy. I think it'll be a lot more like a Bentley or a Sacred Heart, UConn facility like that. But I think this is awesome for Hockey East. I think this is awesome for Northeastern. Sucks
When's
for the city
video
of Boston.
coming out?
We haven't
gotta
really
drop the video now.
Yeah, Fish is in the editing lab now. It's probably going to come out in the next month or two. But yeah, and Aidan McDonough, the Vancouver Canucks, gave us the tour. Learned a lot about Devin Levi. Yeah, it gave us a campus tour as well. So there's a lot of history there. But sucks for the city of Boston.
Wait, you must have obviously played there. What were your impressions playing there?
It was an awesome place to play. The Dog Pound, I believe it's called. Great arena, kind of fans right on top of you. So old school that I enjoyed it, but I think it is time. I also think they had something with the roof collapsing or was going to collapse.
It's sinking too.
It wasn't just like they chose to do this. I think they had to. I don't know. Are they playing there the next few years?
They haven't announced the full plan yet, but I would assume they're going to play somewhere else, probably at BC, BU, or Harvard, I would assume.
Why are you laughing like that? Why are you laughing
They
like
don't even
that?
have a rink now.
Well, yeah,
the
but
Browns still going with?
This helps us.
You can't
Let
be
me tell you, this
snapping.
helps you at BU if all of a sudden a competitor has to come over to your rink and dress in the visitors' room.
Can't be
Walter
snapping.
Brown would be perfect,
Hey,
Merles. I
yeah.
think that makes a
Can't
ton
be
of sense.
Walter
snapping
Brown would be
tape-to-tape
awesome.
passes.
We actually might not
passes.
want that because then Walter Brown will be buzzing again. BU has to play at Walter Brown and not the home team. Don't fuck
Wow.
around with
Cool.
that spot, though.
Yeah,
Probably
definitely a
got
great spot
mold,
to watch. a game.
mold everywhere, right? Like an asbestos.
Oof.
Is that what they got in those old buildings?
Possibly.
Asbestos?
Possibly,
It's
yeah.
crazy. It's crazy. When you see this Chiclets University video, it is wild. Like, we got way below the ice. Like, we saw everything. It's so old and rusted and
Where
everything.
they got
So
underground tunnels like the National Treasure?
basically.
Denver Airport.
Nicolas Cage?
The Bruins should play one last, I think, exhibition game there if they're going to close the place.
That's a
You know,
great idea, all
yeah.
right?
Nice little take there. Okay, we're going to congratulate the PWHL Minnesota team on winning the first ever Walter Cup in the Professional Women's Hockey League. They beat my pals of Boston in Game 5 the other night, best of 5, 3-0. They entered the playoffs as the lowest seed, and they were coming in on a 5-game losing streak. Then they went down 0-2 to Toronto, rattled off 3 straight to upset them. Then they ended up beating Boston. So hats off to the ladies in Minnesota. Job well done. That actually, I ended up hanging out with some of my friends on the Boston team. They texted me at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Because they're like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, where are you? They're like, Brighton. I'm like, by the time I get there, it's going to be last call. I goes, but if you want to come over here, I can find us a little spot. So a little private. I'm not going to mention the spot. A little private spot. A couple carloads of them come over. We celebrated this season. It was a tough ending for them, but I think they still want to have a couple
right.
pops. So it was
You're
nice.
so
It was a
private
nice
already.
get together.
Get
No, I
into
don't
hockey, ladies.
I want to throw people under the bus, you know.
Since
like
we're on the
secrets.
female sports topic,
Yeah.
like this Caitlin Clark and WNBA stuff is going crazy, and every time she plays, it goes viral. Like, I would have never imagined myself checking WNBA box scores, but I'm like following this. I want to see
I am a little confused as to why they hate her so much. And I get the part of when like a superstar comes in, McDavid comes in the league, guys want to test him and guys want to see like, oh, what's this guy made of? I'm going to try to run him over, blah, blah, blah. So I get the competitiveness and trying to beat her, but it seems like they really hate her. And she's putting so many more eyeballs and viewers on the WNBA, in turn, probably in the end, putting money into their pockets. But it's vitriol. They're hitting her. It's like, what is, I don't know why they hate her so much.
I don't either. I don't know what it's like behind the scenes. What I'm more like, I guess, flabbergasted about is the fact that their own team hasn't really spoken out or acted out much on it. If I was the owner of Caitlin Clark's team and the coach or whatever, I would go sign the biggest woman that you could imagine. And the minute that anybody on the court touched her, it would just be a free-for-all. Like, she would legit be just, go get an enforcer.
Go get Griner. She was in a Russian gulag before Biden brought her home and put her on the bench to fuck up some girls.
That's what I'm saying. But the fact that they're treating her like this, and it's a lot more physical, and they're taking runs at her, means that there's even more views now coming in because everybody's now addicted to like, why are they treating this person who are the reason that they're now staying in nice hotels and flying private the way that they are? Like, yeah, Sidney Crosby took some lickings, but it ain't like this. They're legit like throwing elbows at her. Even when she doesn't have the ball, they're taking runs at her. So I don't know. Like I said,
is she lighting it up? Is she still lighting up?
She's
not doing bad though. She's not doing bad.
All right,
Her team stinks.
All right, she's got throughout the start of her career, I think she's got like one of the most points per game in like WNBA history. So as far as her start, maybe based on her expectations, not great, but she's still putting up decent numbers. In the game in which she got ran there, and I think Angela Reese was on the other team, I think she only put up 11, but her team won by a point. Like I was going to check the box score to see who won the game because her and that Angela Reese girl who played at LSU, they had a beef before they even got to pro.
And she was hugging the girl that like buried her with an elbow. Like,
so
hey, how about this? Hey, Caitlin, chuck bombs.
Yeah, she may just need to sucker someone.
It might happen.
Like, I don't know if that's the can of worms.
Earn your stripes.
These girls are like 6'4", and they're like they're big, and they've probably fought where they're from before.
Sign Trouba.
Yeah, like this is good.
Do you remember we interviewed?
Needs to go to become a he/she, and
he's trying to chop his cock off.
Do you remember the Sarah Nurse interview? And she told us like how nasty those girls were.
It's like, wait a minute, is that George the Rock? The hell?
Those girls are nuts, man.
Wait, did you think there's a lot of like
George the Rock with eyeliner? What the fuck is going on here? Just George the Rock just teeing off on a chick in WNBA. I'm here for it. I'm fucking.
What all right?
I would say, did you think though the reaction online was maybe a little bit too much like pearl clutching? Like I don't know. I just thought it was a little over the top now because when I saw it, I was like, something had to have preceded this. That girl didn't just go over and hit her like that. And then that guy with CJ0, he always had good clips.
All right, what do you mean? Every game she's getting bodied, and like it's not just like as she's putting up a shot. It's like under the hoop.
They are saying she's flopping a little bit, in which some of the clips I've seen, there has been a little bit of exaggeration. So I'm not going to be biased towards Caitlin Clark here. That could be an issue as to why these girls are getting more pissed off.
Maybe she talks a lot of shit too, Biz.
And the fact that her teammates haven't really stuck up for her, like, I don't know what things are like behind the scenes. But nonetheless, based on this online amplification, I am so dialed into the WNBA now. I can't get enough of it.
I included the clip there with right before that, the previous basket when the opponent scored, she went to grab a rebound, and I don't know if she did it intentionally. It looks like she might have caught Kennedy, the other girl, with that elbow, and then Caitlin, you could see her like talking shit to her like as they were going up the court. So I'm not saying it was justified or right, whatever. I didn't think it was nearly as bad as everyone was talking about. I mean, it's a body block, it's basketball, it's physical, but like Caitlin was like shit talking and coming back on the court. There was a physical bump right before that, so I don't think it was just like happening in the dark. I don't think it just come out of nowhere.
Did you play like that when you played, RA?
I think it's
a
good
physical.
I think it's a good case study though at the fact that like a little bit of violence in women's sports can go a long way, and I feel like it garners way more attention. Not saying they should add full-on hitting to women's hockey, but maybe it's something that the girls would want. Like, I don't know.
I think they basically did this year.
Against the wall, no doubt. Maybe open ice, you're not going to have huge hits. I still go back to putting the half shields on the women. I think Sarah Nurse wasn't even that she didn't even hate that idea that much. Then you see their faces a little bit more. That helps. Be able to see someone's face, know who they are. I understand you don't want to get your tooth knocked out, whether you're a man or a woman. But if all of a sudden against the wall, these girls in the PWHL are burying each other with half shields on, I think that'd be electric.
Yeah, they were pounding each other pretty good the game I went to. I mean, I know they say there's no hitting, but there was definitely some serious hitting going on in the game I was at. But
I wonder
to wrap up that Caitlin Clark, the girl Kennedy is no saint. She was drafted 4th overall in 2020, terminated in 2021 for conduct detrimental to the team, signs in 2022 with the Sparks, let go, poor conduct, went over and played in Turkey last year. So
just followed her on Instagram.
It's like Rick Vaughn in Major League.
Just followed her on
Instagram. Give me the heater, Ricky.
I just connected with her on Raya.
All right, Dan. We got a few more words from the sponsor.
Choking me out while we're going at it.
All right, guys, before we go any farther, I want to talk to you about our good friends at The Farmer's Dog. I've long been an advocate of feeding your dog healthy food. It makes no sense to feed the dogs crap that we feed them. That's where The Farmer's Dog comes in. The days are warmer, the walks are longer, and one easy way to help your dog shine this season is with fresh, healthy food from The Farmer's Dog. The Farmer's Dog makes real, fresh dog food and delivers it right to your door. Recipes are developed by vet nutritionists, made from real meat and veggies and portioned just for your dog, making it easy to say goodbye to the old burnt brown balls and feed your dog real food with real benefits. It's smart, healthy pet food you can feel good about feeding your pup. It's the best option for dogs of all stages of life because it's not kibble. It ain't Kangoo. It's real, healthy food. Traditional dry and wet dog food options are highly processed and can use much lower quality ingredients than they claim to and are extremely difficult to portion accurately. The Farmer's Dog isn't just fresh, high quality food. They also send pre-portioned specifically for your dog. See, it says Ravioli's name right on here. This is her beef recipe. You feed her half a pack each day. It tells you exactly how much you're supposed to do. It really doesn't get any better than Farmer's Dog. And it doesn't matter if your dog is young or old. It's always the right time to begin investing in their health. That means more happy, healthy, and full years together. Get 50% off your first box of fresh, healthy food at thefarmersdog.com/chiclets. Plus, you get free shipping. Just go to thefarmersdog.com/chiclets to get 50% off. That's thefarmersdog.com/chiclets. Biz, before you asked about Martin Nakis, and Frank Saravelli on the DFO rundown today said, I wouldn't be shocked to see Marty Nakis dealt before game 1 of the Cup Final on Saturday. And everything I'm reading online says Vancouver Canucks are the front runner.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Canucks adding to the bag.
Ooh, wow.
Maybe
because they were the team that one of the teams that was in on him at the deadline as well, supposedly.
Okay.
Boys,
I just got a text from Dreisaitl's agent. He wants to get Portnoy a jersey, and I said Portnoy is coming to Game 4. So Dreisaitl's been watching all the movie or the videos of Portnoy, pumping Oilers tires. So he's on the train now.
Well, little does he know though that Dave, these teams he bets on, he fucking rips on them when they're not winning. He's carving guys left and right, and then he claims to say that he's the one who gets them going. Which is, I guess, what I did in terms of quitting the team in November and then getting them going. But yeah, Portnoy, you want him on your side right now because he's winning everything, but he's cutthroat as Pasha is when he's ripping on his own teammates.
He's the Mike Keenan of gambling. Just fucking abuses his players to get them going. Old school approach.
Guys, did you see that that link I sent over? Was the hockey nerd in me likes to look back at old lineup cards. It was a Buffalo Sabres lineup from 2017, from 7 years ago, and just how good of a team they actually had back then. Here it is right there. Take a look. I mean, Evander Kane, Ryan O'Reilly. Look at that squad, Merles. I mean, that's a playoff team right there. No, Merles?
That's some good players there. Who's on the D? They got no D. That's why they weren't good.
Great forwards.
Gotta have the D.
Big. At least they're big and physical.
Yeah. There's no number 1D.
Yeah,
there's no number 2D.
Wow, they got.
There's no number 3D. There's no number 4D on that, right?
Well, I don't know. Either way, I thought it was pretty interesting just to see how the roster turnover. I mean, look at Ike.
The one guy though that just is a survivor. Zegmas Gergenson's lifetime Buffalo contract. What a beauty.
Did they draft another guy with the last name kind of like that, or is that the same guy?
That's the same guy.
I know. That guy's been there forever.
Yeah, he's been there
Leon
for 20
Draisaitl
years.
starting a Cologne. No, he's from Cologne, Germany.
Shit. Oh, Biz, we didn't get to it earlier with beginning of the show. I went and saw the Stones last week. G had seen him down in New Jersey a couple weeks ago. I still can't believe that dude. Well, him and Keith, 80 friggin' years old, man. I was sure watching them fucking stand there for 2 hours, let alone run around the stage at 80 years old. Just an awesome show. And they really are like an inspiration, dude. I mean, just the fact that they're still ticking at that age and doing what they do is a dynamite show. So I don't know if you
all right,
boys
we
get
got some
excited.
like 6 a.m. text messages from you this week. Did you have 2 all-nighters this week?
No,
I did.
Because if it's a 6 a.m. text from If it's a 6 a.m. text from RA, it ain't up early, up and at him with the birds and the bees. He's fucking still awake.
He ain't David Goggins, folks.
That was the night when
5 Mile in.
that was the night I was hanging out with the gals on PWHL Boston. They were, last night of the season. So I had a bit of a late one, but no, the Stones, I had 2 beers in the parking lot. When I go to concerts, man, I don't drink. I stay at my seat because then you got to piss every 10 minutes and you miss the show.
You do drugs.
Well, I mean, I smoke fucking weed. I don't know.
Do
if
you
that's a
sneak
drug.
in goldfish and shit so you just sit there with your snacks?
I do that when I go to the movies. Definitely, I sneak my own snacks in. But no, I really don't. When I go to concerts, man.
If RA had kids, that's all they would get for their lunch. Just a little Ziploc bag of goldfishes every day for school.
People see him running on the street after the concert because he doesn't want to get an Uber or ride home either, and he just yells at people, "Stay high," instead of "stay hard," because he's
yeah. Instead of Goggins, that's his motto. Stay high. That's good.
Fuck.
That's a good one, Arm Dog. That's a good one.
Biz,
You should fucking get a patent on that. Stay high. That's such a good motto.
I mean, I kind of live it, I guess. But
happy.
Biz, you're not a big concert guy, are you, Biz? I don't know if I've ever.
I love going to concerts. I just don't have time because I'm working.
You're like a Bonnaroo guy. You're like a festival.
Yeah, I like going
guy.
to festivals.
Yeah,
I went to Bonnaroo. I would never go to Coachella. I think Coachella is the biggest fucking joke. It's just a try-hard scene. Bonnaroo was incredible. Like they had awesome bands there, like good jam bands, like My Morning Jacket. I would like to go see Fish. I'm not like crazy about their music, but to go there and like do psychedelics and just watch the show, I would love to.
Yeah.
And it's like true. It's true art, the way that they actually play the instruments. It's not like these fucking DJs now and they just hit the play button. So yeah, I like going once in a while. But the problem is there's not a lot of like good bands that tour really anymore, are there?
Not at my age or your age. Yeah.
Like I don't care to go see Morgan Wallen in concert.
I like his music. Fenway Park show was sick last year.
It was because there's tits and ass hanging out at the show. Maybe not for you.
I wish I bought a cowboy hat and cowboy boot store around here like 20 years ago when country took off crazy around New England. Like every friggin' girl around here is like, a country fan now. Made him fucking mint if he did that. Yeah, I actually, Biz, Hootie's coming back to Fenway. He's coming to Fenway. Pearl Jam's at Fenway, and then I'm going to see Metallica down Foxborough later this summer too. I haven't seen them before. So
Pearl Jam's great. I've seen them twice. I like Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I saw them at Fenway last time they came. It was like a fucking religious experience, man. It was such a great time. So, all right, boys, great show. Any final things? Any final thoughts? Notes you want?
I got one more thing. One more thing. Can't have a Stanley Cup preview without our Conn Smythe picks. Because if you go on DraftKings, that's where you maybe want to make your bet instead of making a series bet. If you think the Oilers are going to win, you might as well take McDavid, right? Or can Hyman do it at plus 10,000? So just
Bouchard's a sneaky option for the Oilers. The way
I was going to say, but he won't.
But I think if the Oilers win, he's leading the playoffs in scoring. He will if they win. It's McDavid's league. McDavid would get it.
What about Florida? Florida's got 3.
Florida, buddy, Forsling's right there.
Bennett or Barkov?
Yeah, Barkov probably.
No Bobrovsky?
No.
Bob.
No.
Wow, yeah.
He's been good, but I don't think it's like last year where it would have been obvious for him had they beat Vegas.
Yeah, Chuck is up there obviously as well.
It's going to depend this series, I guess, for Florida, right?
Yeah.
There's no front runner for Florida. That's why I see if McDavid ends up getting like 10 points in a loss this series and
You don't think the last time might have been Jaguar when they lost to
But he's like
6-3.
I think he's 6 assists away from beating the NHL record in assists in a playoffs, like beating Gretzky's record. So I think if he lights it up this route, I could see him getting it because I don't really see for Florida having a true front runner. Like Barkov's been incredible, don't get me wrong, playing 20 minutes a night, stopping the other team's best, but I think he's just at a point per game. Where if McDavid finishes with 40-something
Imagine
points.
McDavid's face getting that trophy at center ice, dude. You think it was bad when he had that couples like hounding him at the airport with their arms around his shoulder? Him getting the Conn Smythe in a cup final loss would be the worst picture an Oilers fan could ever see.
That'd be tough.
He definitely had the eye of the tiger last game, man. He had fucking big time after he scored that goal. You knew he was going to be on all night.
Boys, get rest. Because it's going to be a long haul. I'm going to the first 4 games no matter what.
Chick tear, baby.
Let's
Love
do
you,
it.
boys.
All right, thanks for listening.
Have a good week, everyone.
Peace.
Peace out. Go Oilers.